Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, your host. We are live. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, 8:45 p.m. and we're mixing it up. We're trying something new. We are going to be drafting on a new platform. So first time on the channel. We're not on Underdog tonight. We are on Drafters, but we're here to make some money. We're here to try something different. We're not afraid of change, and we will head over after the intro. All right, so we head over to Drafters, mentioned it yesterday, and coincidence, they dropped a new contest. There is a $10 Superflex contest that is open and available. That is the plan. That is the plan to hop in this evening. I think it's worthwhile, though, to spend a minute and talk about the scoring and all the settings adjustments that are required. But first, let's bring in the chat. Chad is fimpsed tonight in honor of Peppertoni. Chad coming in strong. But Roni Baloney, Drafters, let's go. He's excited. He's ready for it. Hallie Line, good evening. Good evening to you as well. And Jamie coming in, bonne soirée. It is a good evening indeed, especially when you're trying something new. So this is different strategy altogether. In general, the main pivot point to Drafters is that it's a season-long contest. The pod is not important. We are fighting against the entire contest, and in this tournament, there will be just shy of 11,500 entries, 11,496 to be precise. So we have to keep that in mind. Week 1 is just as valuable as week 17. It's a season-long format, and this contest is also super flex. So in terms of the roster construction, let's take a look, because it is different than a typical Underdog roster construction as well. We have to start at minimum 1 quarterback every week, 2 running backs every week, 3 receivers. That stays the same. The emphasis on receiver points remains a priority, especially in full PPR, but especially with the third in the lineup. But tight end is typical. It's just 1. And then unlike Underdog, the super flex spot is taking the spot of flex, not 1 wide receiver. So there's still a lot of receivers that need to be taken, but you can start a second quarterback. You can start a third running back. You can also start a second tight end. So by not devaluing wide receiver, I think that's going to be an interesting shakeup in the strategy and how the ADP changes, especially when you factor in that this is a full PPR website. If you scroll down to receiving, receptions are worth a full point. On Underdog, they're only worth half a point. So I want to make sure everyone understands this before they hop in. I don't want to pull a fast one on you. If you are choosing to sign up for Drafters for the first time, make sure you know this. So I need to adjust just like everyone, and I just want to be clear because it's the first time we're ever doing it on the website. So I'm not totally sure if everyone watching is fully aware, and it's not like I announced this ahead of time. But Albie's coming in. What's up? Good luck. Appreciate it. It'll be only my second draft on Drafters tonight, and my first in their Superflex contest. So I'll be new as well, and we'll see what we can do. But so far, there's already been almost 800 teams drafted. I'm entering the fast one, and I don't know how quickly it will fill. So I'm just going to hop in. If you guys want to join me, you can. It's a $10 entry. There are six more spots until it fills. Excuse me. But if you want to join, you can come on down. We have entered the $10 Drafters Superflex Championship contest where $100,000 are up for grabs. Winner takes home $20K, and we'll wait. We will give it a minute. If it takes a while, it is what it is. I'm chilling. I can sit it out. But hopefully it doesn't take forever. And maybe I motivate some of y'all to hop in this lobby with me. But let's check in with the chat. You doing a Drafters main tonight also? That was the plan. I was planning to do one in the Superflex, one in the main event, and then depending on the likes, if y'all are really upset that we're on drafters, maybe we can do a pit bull as a consolation prize, as our third draft. But I'll be honest with you, Carp. I'm not going to be as lenient as last night. I'll be honest with you. You're on thin ice, buddy. I might fall asleep during the pod because I got to wake up early. No worries, Jamie. It is much later on the East Coast and stuff. But what's up? Happy holiday weekend. Yeah, we got the 4th of July weekend coming up in 2 days, and I hope everyone is excited. Hoping for a good time with everyone. But Albie, is it half point PPR or full point PPR? It's full PPR, full point. Adjust accordingly. But what's up, Jerry? How you doing? Were you live earlier tonight? Or was it, have you still not gone? I feel like you were live earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I was driving and had you on, listening in the background. Yeah, that was earlier today. That was definitely earlier today. Anyone hasn't checked them out, shout out Jerry Football, friend of the channel, awesome live streamer as well. And then Jamie has a channel, the IDP Center. We were live with the IDP Center last week. That was a fun time. And check out that on the replay if you haven't done so. But yo, Carp. I think you know. I think you last the Google requests. I'm not interested. But we can move on. Yeah, hell yeah, America. USA. We advance in the World Cup. Our curse is broken. Talk about Mexico's curse being broken. USA advances, finally winning a game after the group stage. That pretty much never happens. So, who knows? We have cut the wait time in half. There are only 3 more spots until this Drafters Superflex lobby is full. So if you guys want to come on down, it's now down to 2 spots. It is slowly but surely filling, and it's new for me. So this might be plus EV if you join this lobby alongside me. But yeah, live earlier today. That's what I thought. But Jerry, do you have a Drafters account? Are you on Drafters? Is it available in Canada? I have no idea. I am new to this website. But Canada Day was yesterday, baby. Is your Independence Day July 1st? It's interesting that a lot of countries have it in July. I know France is the 14th of July. But never done Drafters before. I assume it's available. Who knows? But Jamie is new as well. And if I have a legit promo code, I would share it with you. But at the moment, I'm just repping the basic refer a friend. So if you guys want to use promo code Nice and Blunt, I believe it gives you an extra $10. But I personally used promo code WHO when I signed up. Shout out Who Hames. His promo code much more valuable, I would say, than anything I can offer you at this point. Yeah, Who Hames code, capital H, 2 little O's, Who got me $100 matched on sign up. I put in $100. They gave me $100 extra. If anybody wants to sign up, I'm sure Who would appreciate it. I believe he gets a little kickback for it. And it is the best promo I am aware of. So shout out Who Hames. I assume that Bayou Bengal has one as well. He gives out free tickets on his live stream. We only have 1 more spot remaining. So if you guys want to hop in. But shout out Bayou Bengal. I do not know what his code is. I believe it's Bayou, but I don't want to be incorrect. So today, if you're interested, I will just shout out Who Hames. I used his code. I thought it was worth it. But 1 more spot. We should be up and going quickly. Scott is in here. I'm here for the late night as long as I can stay awake. Appreciate you, Scott. Thanks for popping in. If you are on the East Coast, you are 5 minutes away from tomorrow. So I've got a little advantage. We'll see if the late night EV is relevant. But there's one more spot if you want to join this Drafters Superflex. Now's the time. But I appreciate y'all for waiting with me. It's definitely not the same experience, but it's worth the try. It's worth mixing it up, and maybe I'll keep the streams to Underdog in the future if y'all hate it. But I think it's gonna be worth our time. I definitely believe it. One person left the lobby, unfortunately. Another person left the lobby. Damn, that's annoying. We're back down to 3. We're back down to 3. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be stubborn about it. I believe the lobby will fill. I have faith. But right, coolers, we were so close. We were down to 1. And somebody does not want the smoke and then scared somebody else. But we'll wait. We'll keep waiting. Yeah, we did. Jamie says we did a podcast last night, and in honor of Canada Day, we talked Elik Ayamanor as a cheap dynasty buy. Interesting. Elik versus Kamari DK is an interesting argument because DK I can see carving out a very specific role, but I can see anything beyond that scope just dwindle over time for him. Like, he'll be their punt and kick returner for a minute. That I'd be sure of. That doesn't really translate to fantasy points the same, though. And he's battling with Ayamanor for wide receiver 3. If they were to trade Calvin Ridley, I think Ayamanor might fit in a little bit better as a replacement there. But we've seen Chimeri perform a little bit better. But there's so many ifs that have to transpire. I would imagine Wandale probably sticks around for a while. So I'm not sure I'm dying to do it. But wide receiver 3 in the Tennessee offense could possibly be pretty valuable if Cam Ward is legit. But last year, the offense was just so poor. You got to be kind of wish casting long term. That's where I'm not big on Dynasty. I don't want to wait more than a year for my investment to work out. I just want this year to be my focus. And the next year, I focus on that year. This year, we focus on this year. But, all right, come on, people. We got 3 spots. I'd rather not have to post on X to fill this drafters lobby. But if I have to, I will. Can we fill a drafters lobby at 9 p.m.? Putting it to the test. The ultimate test. But maybe I enter a main event as well. Okay, we're down to 2. Somebody did join. We're down to 2. We're making progress, moving in the right direction. That's good. But yeah, on Underdog, unless you have some pit bulls left, Eliminator and Best Ball Mania is kind of like probably the biggest thing worth your time. But we can do that at any time. I'm down to try something different. And I'll mix these in every now and then. Tonight, I'm trying to maybe force the issue a little bit. But like I said, we're down to 2 spots, and we can wait. We'll bring in the music. How about that? While we wait, we'll bring in the music. Or maybe we only pivot once the lobby is full. Yeah, I'm not going to jinx it. It'd be nice to have some background music, but we're going to wait. We're going to endure. Jay Shambo, what's up? I have only DK and Underdog. How does Drafters compare? I'll download it real quick. I am new to Drafters. It is a full point PPR. It is season long, and they have 2 contests up at the moment. One is the $15 main event with $1.5 million in total prizes. This one that we're trying to enter right now is the Superflex contest, and I have never done one of these on this website. Should be interesting. But at the moment, we are still waiting. We got 2 more spots. And then we're off to the races. But it's like DK, but not yardage bonuses. Okay, The yardage bonuses, I will say, are pretty fun. Those are very fun. But at least in a tournament like this, I think you want to kind of avoid some of those variables at times. So it's probably good to enter something like this that doesn't have it. I do like it in the week-to-week managed formats, though. I do like that, and I like it as like a 3-point bonus, like something that would negate your opponent's field goal. Something like that, I think, is worth your time. But that's a scoring setting that I think is better in like a more personal, intimate, smaller type of league rather than a big field contest. I don't love that about DK. An extra variable I'd rather not concern myself with in something like that. But Roni Baloney, if you can use the drafters chat to promote your channel, that is also a factor. There is a live chat on drafters. That's interesting. So you can talk shit if you want. I imagine there's some moderation, but I haven't been on there long enough. All right, we're back down to one more spot. One more, and this draft will begin. The lobby is so close. Let them know you're streaming the draft live. Yeah, when we're in there, we'll definitely let everyone know that happens to be in. Hopefully, some of them are y'all, but if anybody was in this lobby ahead of time and has no idea, we'll be fair. We'll let them know. But if you want, coolers, if you would like, anyone that wants to come on down can join. I'm not afraid. If anything, I just want this to fill. We're at 9:02. There it is. There we go. Let's go to the draft. Coolers is in here. We got Red Hook 22, Geo Owl, FF Links, Game Tight's in the house. Yo, what's up, Game Tight? And then we got Tony Starks at pick 5. I pulled the 106. The Fonz is in here at the 7. We got Jaylee Knott, J Jax 33, Giovanni, Coolers at 11, and then Crip 7300. Coolers, I'm right here with you. I've only done one, and it's definitely not a super flex. So this draft begins in 7 seconds, and I'm here for it. I'm excited. Let's bring in the music, shall we? It's officially begun. It's time to lock in. Speaking of locking in, I'm going to also hit the pipe. I think for waiting that long and finally filling it. Here we go. I'm ready. On guard. Good luck, everyone. Should be fun. I feel like we're cheating on Underdog. Perhaps, just a little bit. But until they open their Frenchie tomorrow, I'm just not the most excited. The Eliminator is fine, but I'd rather wait. And then every other contest is like a minimum of $20, other than the Scott Fish Bowl. So I'm willing to wait. I will say this, though. If we stick around for draft number 3, I would be down to do a pit bull. Okay, I'm on the clock. I like that there's a noise that lets you know you are on the clock. Here, though, I'm just going to take quarterback, and my highest ranked is Drake May. I'm going to go Drake May. And then we're going to let people in the chat know that we are streaming live on YouTube. All right. Our roster has Drake May, and in Superflex, that feels pretty solid. I was willing to pass on Jamar Chase there, but I'm not so sure if I'm going to force a quarterback click at the next next round. I think with the 3 receiver build that you still have to prioritize, I'm not going to want to fall behind too much at that position. Running backs are great, but I do think receiver is not a position you want to completely ignore in this format. So Drake May, our first round pick, though, feels excellent. 1 round down, we have 19 to go. This is a 20 round format as well. I am back on the clock. But I will say the quarterback prices look pretty solid here. And maybe I just trust the ranks. I'll go Brock Purdy. I'm not going to go too far off the beaten path. I think Purdy versus Jackson Dart is a conversation. Purdy versus T-Law is a conversation. But the Niners offense ultimately is a pretty safe bet. So we'll take Purdy and we will move on with our day. Do I have everyone in this draft in frame? I can probably move some things around. This lobby, this website is not something I'm as familiar with, so I can probably move around the board a little bit. Haven't done this in a while. But if I go there, let's lock that. And then let's take this. There we go. That probably works the best. That's probably the best one. All right, let's lock that. Going a little different. Nothing wrong with it. Not afraid of change. Trying something different tonight. There we go. About to be back on the clock. Wide receiver, though, stacking up A.J. Brown with Drake May. Once I saw that on the ADP, I was like, yeah, that feels like a more valuable player to target. I will do that. We got Drake May with A.J. Brown in the full PPR Superflex. Thanks, Coolers. Appreciate you for checking out the channel. Appreciate it. All right, so first 3 rounds, I'm not upset. Will I regret passing on running back, though? Because Hampton goes, Saquon goes, and I'm just not familiar with how this ADP is. We will figure it out. But for the moment, I'm not upset with anything. Jamie, I have a series of best ball drafts on Sleeper for $5 that include 8 offense starters and 4 IDP flex. If anyone is interested, let me know. Let him know. Jamie, I believe, is at Big Game on Twitter. You can also find him, Jamie Pirog. Same. I think both ways to search will work. But Best Ball Cabal is, I suppose, happy we're here. Drafters is great, says Best Ball Cabal. So far, so good. How much is the Frenchie? I have no idea. I do not know the details, but they've been dropping something every Friday, so expect a Frenchie tomorrow. That'd be my guess. Yes, Shamrock, this is a Superflex, a contest that just dropped today, and we are building the ADP as we speak. The first day is a bit more of a free-for-all. I would assume it will adjust and get a bit more sharp over the course of the contest. But entering it day 1, nothing wrong with that. Running back is kind of gross, but receivers still looking pretty strong. Sure, I'll take Pickens. I will take George Pickens. We need to start 3 receivers every week. We could even start a 4th. So full PPR, I do not want to miss out on some of the hard to repeat wide receiver points. I could be wrong. I might not be treating this contest the proper way, because other than Ice Spice, that's the only team that's been Prioritizing receiver the same way, but they went wide out, quarterback. I think that's different than starting off QB, wide out. So let's see what Red Hook does around this turn here. I'm obviously not going to ignore running back forever, but at the moment, I thought for the value, I preferred Pickens in that spot. But Stroud and then Jeremiah Love off the board. We'll see what happens here, because none of these teams around the turn have a single wide receiver. Bryce Young, Cam Ward. There's a player I don't normally take, but I'm actually very hopeful I get him here. I don't want to jinx it because Game Tight's watching. He goes Travis. I may not get the player I'm thinking, but he's still at the top of ADP. Not sure if Tony Stark is watching, but I think in this specific format, if you give me Breece Hall, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty ecstatic if I get Breece Hall, because Breece Hall catches a shit ton of passes. This is a full PPR format. So Breece Hall loses a lot of value in half PPR, in my opinion, for some of his usage. But to get him in full PPR in the 5th round, after Travis goes, definitely a player I have ranked similarly. He goes 10 picks after Kyron Williams. Now, obviously, I like the Rams offense a lot, but I think the full PPR upside of Breece Hall definitely more valuable, because Braylon Allen does not catch passes. Breece Hall's role as the pass catcher in this offense is not going to change. He is prolific in that regard. So I think he is a very valuable piece here in this scoring format. And by taking him in round 5, by pushing him, I considered him instead of Pickens, but I thought maybe I could at least get Kyron on the way back, and I still got Breece. So I'm very happy with it. There's still a plethora of running backs I'd be happy to get. But starting off, Drake May, Brock Purdy. I'm liking this team. A.J. Brown, George Pickens, the stack in New England, and then just a huge spike week type of guy in Pickens, a pass-first offense. Outscored CeeDee Lamb last year. I would agree, Shamrock. For the contest scoring settings, I think this is a nice start. But what's up, Anthony? How we doing? Josh Allen goes 1st round on drafters. That's different. This is a super flex. Yeah. Imagine if that was just what happened in every lobby, regardless of format on draft. Like all of a sudden, you just shift lobbies. It's like, oh, people are just giving you massive plus EV. All right, here's an interesting dilemma. Do I take another quarterback or do I stick to my running back rankings? ADP says Dave Montgomery, but my personal ranks, I got Cam Scatterboo, and I don't really think it's that close. I would much rather have Scatterboo than David Montgomery. Montgomery can catch passes, but that's probably what Woody Marks will take away from him if he takes away anything. And despite Montgomery locking a lot of touches, I think he has similar injury risk to Scatterbo because of his age, and I actually have Scatterbo ranked above Dave Montgomery, so I'm gonna disregard ADP here, just stick to my rankings. I don't give a shit. Swift already got taken. I'll go Scatterbo at 67. I'm thinking this team is really loaded to start off, in my opinion. Breece, maybe not the most consistent, but massive upside in terms of spike week potential. That is unquestioned. That is undeniable. Oh, whoops. I think I can expand this and show you a little bit more of the board too. Yeah, I can show you all of the rounds so far on the board. But Bucky Irving would be interesting here. Very interesting. But Game Tight is on the clock. He has 3 running backs already. He goes Bishal Tootin. And then if Tony Stark passes, I would be pretty happy to get Ladd McConkey, but Travion I also think is a very nice acquisition in this format. Could also pivot to Terry, Devontae Adams. Waddle I think is really, really valuable. Adams goes, so I'm going to go Ladd McConkey. I think at pick 78, it feels like a no-brainer. Receiver room filling out nicely. Pick 78, Ladd McConkey. Holy shit. That's pretty sweet. But especially when this is season long and I don't have to tailor to just like the end of the year playoff upside. I do think drafting backups is a little bit more valuable. I think we started off pretty hot with Drake May, Brock Purdy. I think Mac Jones would be a really good asset for this team. And if I want to take a fourth, then grabbing another backup. There's a plethora of options. So I'm very excited for this team so far. I think this is going to come together very nicely. And so far, maybe our running back room could possibly dwindle fast. But at the moment, I'm willing to play it close to the vest and not ignore receiver for too long. I think the value I just got on Ladd McConkey is pretty elite. But Coolers has Hurts, Taylor, Henry, Jordan Love, and then took Olave, Josh Jacobs, Tyler Warren at 83. And then Carnell Tate just came off the board at pick 86. But, yo, what's up, Pepper Tony? How we doing? Are you on Drafters, Pepper Tony? I would imagine you might be. I think I'm Tony Pollard here. But BTJ kind of calling my name. We have to start 3 receivers every week. And BTJ represents a big tier break, in my opinion. It's crazy that I got Ladd at 78 and then BTJ at 91. But, like, still, I think there's a big cliff after BTJ. I'm fine with Parker Washington. I prefer BTJ. Harrison, I'm actually starting to come around to the more I look into him. But it's still not that exciting. And I do think it's a very different tier. Everybody else, I think, is less valuable moving forward. So I'm not as familiar with the ADP. There's going to be some diamonds in the rough, some gems that I like later on. But so far, starting off with A.J. Brown, that Drake May A.J. Brown stack does feel very, very strong. It is 3 receivers and 2 running backs minimum. And then the flex spot is the super flex. You can get away with Breece Hall and Cam Scatterbo if they stay healthy all year. It's possible. I'm going to need some running back soon, though. I may regret passing on running back there, but I kind of feel confident that I can get really strong values later. And with Chuba Hubbard at the top ADP, I'm not really dying to do it. I could go Ramondre. That stacks up. I could pay attention to the tight end position soon. This is a bit more pricey on this website. Kraft went. Laporta's next up. Not sure I'm dying to take Laporta, but the ADP 110 says it's too early. Running back here, we would be getting a 12-pick fall on Ramondre. A 12-pick fall on Ramondre, I think, is a little too hard to pass up. When you also have Drake May. Yeah, I'll just do that. I think in full PPR, it's a little bit less exciting. Ramondre does not catch as many passes as Travion typically. But I could also see the roles change. I could also see Ramondre just remain in pass protection and maybe favored a little bit. But when you're blocking, sometimes you're not getting the ball. We'll see, but definitely a nice price on Ramondre. A full round past ADP. Can't ignore that too much. But I will say I did consider Tua at this price. Definitely thought that could fit the roster. I think we'll be okay. But Frenchie the day before Independence Day, not very how very unpatriotic. I mean, the French are our friends, right? They gave us the Statue of Liberty. They gave us the Louisiana Purchase. It's not an enemy of ours, that's for sure. But it's not happening on the day itself. It's the 3rd, and also it's just it's a dog. It's not an actual Frenchman, like I am. But got bit by a dog door dashing tonight. Hopefully I'll have better luck drafting. Good luck, Batwee. Hope that doesn't happen to you ever again. That's Once I was hold on, we're on the clock. I could see Kyle Pitts be super valuable. I'm actually going to take Rachaad White first. I'm still willing to push tight end a little while. And in full point PPR, Rachaad White is not losing that job. He is locked into the pass catcher on that team. And the more I look at their schedule, I think they're going to be in catch-up mode. I'm not the most convinced that the Commanders are going to be an above 500 team. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're actually closer to a 6-win team than a 10-win team. I have some concerns on the Commanders. And you know what losing game script does? It keeps the pass-catching running back on the field, whether he's pass blocking or in much more 2-minute drill type of formats. That is going to be Rachaad White's bread and butter. He will stay on the field. And his contract is a prove-it deal. He has a lot to showcase to keep his job. So I like our receiver room. The wide receiver values are really notable so far. Like Alec Pierce is still on the board. He goes 123. That's a pretty big steal. Now Kyle Pitts did go to game tight 117. But there's still a lot of really valuable receivers on the board. Pittman goes. I was hopeful to get Pittman. Not going to lie. I was hopeful that I was drafting Pittman there. And that's why I was willing to push some of the pass catchers and just go Rachaad. But I could go Brooks if I really want to. That's on the table. I'll queue him up. The ADP fall, though, on Fannin is pretty notable. I'll take Fannin at 126. Fannin's ADP was, I believe, 111 or something. I'm not sure where it says it. But I did get a fall. But almost took Jonathan Brooks there. Almost did that. Anyways, let's remind you of the roster so far. We took Drake May and Brock Purdy in the first 2 rounds. I took Breece Hall in the 5th. Cam Scatterbo in the 6th. I waited for Ramondre. He fell a full round in the 9th. I took Rashad in the 10th. And then I did not wait on receiver. I started A.J. Brown, who is stacked. I got George Pickens in the 4th. And then in round 7, I got Ladd McConkey. I took BTJ in the 8th. And then I just took Harold Fannin at pick 126. Full PPR, the volume, I think, is the safest to project in Cleveland to remain in Harold Fannin's favor. I think that's the one player I believe will be the focal point of the offense in the passing game. I'm not so sure about the rookies, what to make of them, but I do believe in Harold Fannin. That opens the door on Shador. We're entering backup quarterback territory, so it's worth mentioning. But I will say, receiver is pretty interesting here. And Wan'Dale has 2 straight seasons with 140 targets. If there's one guy that's a PPR stud, it's Wan'Dale. So I'm a little tempted to just take Wan'Dale and move on. Running back is very uninspiring. Tight end is interesting, but I will just go Wan'Dale because volume is king in full PPR, and I'm down in round 12 to just take Wan'Dale. After Shakir, that checks out. Peppertoni, yeah, fuck with drafters. Love their weekly and season stuff. Not a huge fan of marathon scoring. That's fair. The marathon could be possibly a turnoff, but holy shit, I ignored the chat for a minute. I'm trying to focus because I've never done this format, so I'm trying to focus, make sure I build out a good team. Apologies if I've been slow with the chat, but yeah, definitely sending some good vibes to Batwheat, that's for sure. Getting bit by a dog, that's a bummer, but if you don't fuck with France, I don't fuck with you. Who doesn't love French fries? French toast, yeah. Definitely this part. French toast over pancakes and waffles for sure. Now that's a take. I don't think it's a terrible take. But yo, what's up, Who Hames? I did not get a drafters deal set up. I have not really been in proper communication with their team yet. I had some emails with support, but that was in regarding to just setting things up. And I feel like I want to make sure I like the website before I set anything up. So I'll be honest, Who Hames, I gave the people your code. I recommended they use promo code WHO, capital H, 2 little O's, to get their first deposit matched up to $100. I actually gave them your code, WHO, before you got here. Shout out our friend Who Hames. If you haven't checked them out, friend of the channel, subscribe over there. Shador is still here, a full round past ADP. I do have Fannin. It's a little tempting, but honestly, I prefer Jalen Coker. I'll go Coker. Could have definitely taken Stephon Diggs as well, but Coker for some upside. I still want to build out the receiver room. And it's round 13. I'm more inclined to just get some really cheap backups than bet on Cleveland, because Shador can have 1 or 2 spike games, but in general, you tell me he has like 10 to 12 starts. I don't think that really changes. There's going to be a lot of mediocre games in Cleveland. Now, maybe their defense isn't as good. Maybe the receiving core upgrade helps him out, but I could also just see Shador fall into round 15. I don't think Shador is someone that is not prone to free falling every now and then, because an ADP 137 feels rather arbitrary. Not necessary to believe that that's set in stone on day one. So I'm not going to force it. I'd rather just have a receiver I like, someone like Jalen Coker, fits the bill. But yeah, we got promo code WHO. We'll recommend you use Who Hames code tonight. But I will say, yeah, the layout, especially being in dark mode, definitely helps. It's not bad, and we're on the bottom of the screen, but hey, it is what it is. We also got personalized avatars, and that's pretty interesting. But as expected, Shador does make it back. Running back's kind of gross, but my boy Tank Bigsby is there. You know what? I'll take Shador. I'll take him at 163. Sure. He fell, what was it, ADP 137 to 163. I have Harold Fannin. Fuck it. Not in love with it, but eventually it does make sense. And there wasn't really anybody else that I felt was a really good fit and necessary value on the team. I could have pulled up a running back I liked there, but I didn't feel like it was totally necessary. Based on ADP, it was a little expensive. And then this was an interesting fall on Shador. But like I said, maybe the ADP is just arbitrary, and maybe this is still expensive for where he will settle most of the time. But I do believe he will give us the most starts in Cleveland. Between him and Deshaun Watson, I would much rather take Shador at 163 opposed to Deshaun at 129. But it's possible that the player I was pushing just makes it back. Game tight goes Trey Tucker and Bigsby here at a more appropriate value would be pretty sweet. Wouldn't be upset with that in the slightest. I think for total points, a running back like this, now the injury has to happen sooner rather than later, but I'm still going to need breakout handcuffs. And Bigsby definitely fits the bill. Round 15, I'm happy with that. Not going to be upset. I think he's in the same caliber value as Keaton Mitchell. Genuinely think he can go 20 picks sooner. And it's not crazy. So the team is rounding out. It's officially a nice and blunt team. It has Tank Bigsby on it, so all is well in the world. And we are ecstatic so far. Honestly, I love this team. I think there's some really fun aspects of this team. We still have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds left. I'm going to draft 2 more tight ends. I'll tell you that. I'm going to draft 1 more quarterback. And that leaves at least 1 more running back. And then 1 more wide receiver, I think would make sense. If we rock the 4, 6, 7, 3, I think I'd be pretty happy with this team. I would like at least 1 more receiver. I'll tell you that. But like I said, I can show you a bit more of the board. So let's try to do that. When our pick is up, though, it's going to pull up this. Yeah. Tight end is actually starting to wear thin. I think I'll just take Freiermuth, who I think could really crush this ADP. Right in line, nothing special about the price, but I think the volume is what I ultimately want to bet on. And some other candidates for that are off the board. Dulcich could lead his team in targets. That is possible. I doubt it. I would assume they want to send more targets to Achane if they could, but I could still see 100 targets for Dulcich in a best case scenario. So that was kind of the one I was hoping to be choosing between. Dulcich went to J. Jax at 184, but Freiermuth is still a very good value and also high upside for touchdown production as well in the Steelers offense. But I think Drafters still gives you $100 if you deposit your first 200. That's not bad. I do not know. I cannot confirm nor deny this if it is true. That is not how I experienced it, but I used a different code. Maybe it's just baseline, but yeah, Who Hames has a code, promo code Who. So many rookies last year were super slow to start. Do you guys think that devalues them in this contest? I would assume it kind of does, because every week is valid. You want points at all. You want high scoring at all points of the year, but I do think players that don't really deliver for a while are a little bit problematic at times. The tight end depth is not the most exciting, so I might pass here. Receiver thinning out a bit. Running back, though, yikes. I'll take Jaden Blue. What if Javonte just goes down? What if Javonte goes down? I've been willing to mix in Jaden Blue. I was looking for Katron, but then realized he was drafted right in front of me. So with time running out, we go Jaden Blue. And he was a pass catcher in college. Seems like that would be the role he should occupy. He has the skill set. Will he develop in time? Who knows? But I'm already invested in some Cowboys weapons. We got George Pickens. It's an offense I want to believe in. And at this point, we're only drafting handcuffs. True upside, Jaden Blue versus Malik Davis. I could see in full PPR, if he actually earns some touches, to be valuable if Javonte gets hurt. So hoping, kind of need a prayer, but if you're drafting running back this late, that's kind of just the name of the game. It's all pretty risky, but he's moved up to round 17 in Underdog ADP, so to take him here in a full PPR setting does feel valid. None of the running backs this late feel ideal. It sucks that you have to gamble on which Niner is correct. That is unfortunate. That's kind of annoying. But I could see Justice Hill be pretty valuable in this format. Definitely a volume pass catcher at times. But as we scroll down, there's not that many names that look great. So tight end is a position of note. Colby Parkinson might be worth our time. You know, the Rams tight end room is going to incorporate a lot of people. I'm not sure these stats really help you. There's not that many of them. How do I get out of here? Okay, all right. In fact, I'll queue up those two. Could go Pat Bryant. But actually, I'm going to go Mac Jones. I think the only issue with Brock Purdy is if he gets hurt. And I think these last 3 rounds are kind of all identical to each other. So just lock up who I know I kind of wanted, we are guaranteeing every Niners quarterback point. And that's good enough for me. Pick 211 doesn't really feel much different to me than pick 235. So I will just take him as time expires. We will grab Mac Jones and lock in the Kyle Shanahan quarterback. That's a position that usually hits pretty reliably. And Njoku went to game tight. I would have been interested in Njoku had he made it back. So assuming I do not get sniped, I'll probably just take Colby Parkinson. It would be kind of be a bummer not to get him. I'll be honest. So if I get sniped, it is what it is. But some pivot options. I could go Christian Kirk for the stack. That's definitely a viable option. I could see him make it back, though. Colby Parkinson does get taken, so all these tight ends kind of blend together. I will take Christian Kirk. My final receiver will be Christian Kirk. And another bet on that Niners system. Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, and then the Christian Kirk back stack at pick 222. Pretty valuable, and it's a receiving core that is kind of injury prone historically. But A-Rod Wandell's a PPR gem at that ADP. Holy shit, I'm behind. This was like 10 minutes ago, if not 20 minutes ago. What's up, Disbanded? How we doing? Thank you for keeping active in the chat. Who Hames, I appreciate it. Do you like the personalized pictures? Yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed adding that. You might want to enter the main so you're not waiting. That's a valid point. Let's just enter now. Since that was our plan. There's 8 spots in the main contest. So this one might take a minute to fill. We'll see. Maybe I should have joined that sooner. But 8 spots in the Drafters main. We'll take a minute talking about this team and reviewing how it went, what we might have changed, some other people in this lobby, how strategies are all different. But I'm surprised to see there are no other quarterbacks going on. Really? This is Superflex, and Mac Jones is the only quarterback that goes off in the final 3 rounds? Really? I'm surprised with that. I mean, maybe I just have a different strategy than other people, but that is a little shocking. I will also go Jake Tonjes. I will take the Niners stack happily. 5 more spots in the Drafters main contest, so come on down if you want it. But let me show you how this draft went down. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm actually kind of ecstatic, to be honest with you. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never been in this contest ever before, but you're telling me I have to start 3 receivers every week, 2 running backs, and my flex spot is now super flex, so quarterback's going to mix in. I have Drake May, the Niners starter, and then the 1 or 2 games where Shedeur Sanders is going to explode. Maybe he plays even better with the weapons he added, but we do have Harold Fannin. The stack is present. I don't mind it. Shedeur at 163, ADP 137, undeniable value. Is that ADP correct or false? Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I am shocked that in this Superflex format, not a single quarterback was taken. Whoa, whoops, shit. I did not mean to do that. I'm still figuring it out. Here we go. How many spots? 3 more spots to join in the Drafters main contest. 3 more spots, but all right. Our running back room. We got an excellent value on Breece Hall. ADP 46. We took him at 54 as our RB1. In full PPR, I like that a lot. Definitely a pass-catching role, undeniably, in that offense. But right at ADP, pick 67, Cam Skattebo, fucking perfect. Also an excellent pass catcher. He averaged about 4 receptions per game last year when he was healthy as the starter. Ramondre Stevenson, a full round past ADP, pick 102 off the board. It also stacks up with Drake May. But Rashad White at 115, I think he's just an excellent pick in full PPR. I took Tank Bigsby at 174, an excellent pick regardless of format. And then Jaden Blue at 198, one of the valuable handcuffs that I think can catch a lot of passes. An interesting but high-risk bet, a handcuff that could be worthless. But A.J. Brown stacked up at pick 30. I did not give a shit at all on the price. I reached on A.J. Brown, but I did not fucking care. Honestly, I did not care. George Pickens at 43. Maybe I fucked up on those two picks. That's kind of pricey in hindsight, but you know what? I really don't mind it. I think it all worked out. Ladd McConkey at 78 feels insane. And then Brian Thomas at 91, Wandale at 139, Jalen Coker at 150, and then Christian Kirk for the stack does round it out. We have Harold Fannin, 15 picks past ADP, 126 overall. Hopefully he is healthy. He's also stacked up. And then Freiermuth at ADP. And then our last round click was Jake Tonjes, who also stacks up in San Francisco. Let's check on that draft. It is open. It is actually underway. I got pick 7 in this one. Huhames is in here. We got Game Tight in here. Guggs in here. Relax is in here. B Money is in here. Rampage is in here. Batwheat's in here. Yo, what's up, Batwheat? Huhames in the house. Big Box Store. Rony Baloney's in here. Money Mosley. And then DB Betts. Yo. What's up? What's up, Huhames? About to take Shador in round 5. I'm sniping you on Shador. Watch out. Be careful what you wish for, Huhames. But we are in this drafters main event. This is season-long full PPR scoring, and I did not expect it to fill this quickly. So I have to review Game Tight's team and Cooler's team. Was there any other member in here? I don't think so, but I will take a peek at those later on in this lobby. But I liked my team, honestly. I may have overspent on A.J. Brown in theory, but I think in full PPR with the roster settings, I did not care. I was not upset with the running back core I wound up with, but I completely disregarded ADP when I chose A.J. Brown. But, yo, that would be awesome, Huhames. That'd be fucking lit. But, only if you want to. But, yes, of course. If Huhame's going to be generous enough to do that, of course. Of course. But, yeah, promo code WHO, anyone watching that wants to join drafters. This might be our last draft of the evening. But I'll tell you this. If we are still in the mood, I might do a whatchamacallit. Actually, here I'm going to go Genty. In full PPR, I'll just take Genty at 7. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just take Genty. I might be willing to do a Pitbull, but I might just do it tomorrow. Maybe just tomorrow. But yeah, Huhames also gives away a $15 ticket once a week to viewers as well. Jaden Daniels? Yeah, probably. Probably. Thank you for joining this one, Huhames. Appreciate it. We filled this one much quicker, so I would imagine the Superflex format may have scared some people away, but we're in the regular contest now, and this one is full PPR season long. The marathon style is relevant, but it's otherwise the same roster format as Underdog. It is full PPR, though, so adjust accordingly. But CMC could arguably go pick 3 if you knew he was going to stay healthy, but Genty is a major pass catcher. That offense is not really adjusted much, and the way that Genty has spike weeks, it's just insane. He had multiple 30-point games last year, despite doing like nothing a lot of the time. And having a shit ton of yards behind the line of scrimmage. before contact. Yeah, who is a nocturnal creature? Who does not need sleep? Yeah, this is a pretty valid theory, Roni. Pretty valid. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, you're gonna be panic clicking Jaden Blue, your favorite, Huhaim's favorite, that's for sure. But Derrick Henry does not catch passes, pretty much never. I'll go Drake London. Sure, I'll take Drake London. If Drake London can just stay healthy, London is set for a massive target share. London should get 10 plus targets, and it's really regardless of quarterback, whether it's Penix or Tua. The ball is going in the direction of Drake London. This year, it'll go in the direction of Kyle Pitts, I think a little bit more, but not to the detriment of London. If anything, I think Kyle Pitts will maybe take away a little bit more attention from London for the first time in a while, just because in the Stefanski system, I think it'll be more required in terms of defending them. But would have loved to get Ken Walker at 18. Obviously, Huhaim scoops him up. A Kansas City Chief. He was forced to go Christian McCaffrey. I imagine he's a little bit more willing to do it on drafters in full PPR. I'm sure he would have loved Ashton Genty instead of CMC, but not today. We force Huhaims to take his favorite Christian McCaffrey at pick 8. Do you have the same fade on CMC and drafters, Huhaims? Or does the change in format just like drastically pivot your approach? But we are on to draft number 2. I forgot to mention it. We're going to be smoking another bowl. And what's awesome is I get pick 42. I also get pick 42. So 2 rounds for me to pack this bowl. But so far, the team is Ashton Genty, Drake London. I was tempted to go with Bowers, but I'm not fully convinced that taking both Raiders is the best course of action. Taking one, I think that's fair. Taking both, not as in love with it. And I don't think it matters which one you take, but in round 1... Genty, I think, is definitely more valuable for roster construction. And then Bowers is legit. But, all right, we're back on the clock. Wide receiver is interesting. Running back is not bad. Interesting. Travis has a deeper ADP. I guess I'll take Flowers. I'm not totally convinced that that's correct there, but scooping up receivers in full PPR, never terrible. I like Travis a lot, Travis Achan in New Orleans. However, to be completely honest with you, I am worried that Alvin Kamara stays on the team and really impacts his receiving role. So I'm not the most confident to predict a shit ton of targets for Travis this year. I expect a lot of touchdowns. But receptions, if Kamara does not retire, could be a minor problem. So I will go Flowers there. It opens up the Lamar stack. That would be pretty awesome in a full season-long contest. Because Lamar Jackson is one of those quarterbacks that can absolutely just crush the competition like no other player. He could be the true QB1 by a mile. So where does Lamar go in this one? ADP 51. He might make it to me at 55. He would on Underdog. We'll see on drafters. But taking Flowers, a fair pick in this range. But the team at the bookend goes Hampton, Saquon, Garrett Wilson, and Jalen Waddle. I will say I would have very much been happy to take Jalen Waddle at 42. I think in full PPR, Waddle gets more valuable for sure. I expect his role to be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage in terms of average target share. But Travis goes to Huhaims. That was a bummer. That was unfortunate. Would have loved to take him there. At running back, I'm actually Cam Scatabo here. Damn. I'll queue him up. I should probably just... Fuck it. I'm going to bite the bullet and take Malik Neighbors. True upside. Let's hope he doesn't miss much time. But I will say, if he is actually healthy, closer to week 1 than people expect, or if he's just straight up ready week 1, holy shit. Round 4 Malik Neighbors in full PPR would be fucking crazy. Neighbors upside in full PPR is so much more worth the risk. I will say that. Like, this man was almost on pace for 200 targets his rookie season. He had 170 plus in 15 games his rookie year. Now, I know the footage from the, what was it, softball game or whatever he was playing didn't look good, but once he's on the field, it's just too many targets to pass up. So I could be making a very bad pick, but he's my wide receiver 3. I'm not as reliant on him in the first place. It is entering luxury pick territory, though. It is not a safe pick by any means. And so I will still need to build out my receiving core. But if it hits, holy shit, is it worth it? It's also, what, 4 picks past ADP? He was going off the board at 38 in this format. It's possible he just keeps falling, and you can get him in the 5th at one point. But damn, the upside is just a little too tempting to pass up on. But I did not take Scatabo. He falls to 49. I do think Scatabo would have been the running back to take there had he been... had it been the position of need, I felt I was desperate to tack on. If I felt more desperate, I think I would have done it. But taking Genty in the first round definitely feels fine. And then there's still some values later on. I think we can make it work. But I will say, in the season-long marathon type of scoring setting, I feel like staying balanced is a little bit more wise of a strategy. So not going a little overboard in any particular direction, I think is legit. Baishal Tootin would have been nice there. But JMO is interesting. I'm not sure I need receiver desperately. I would have taken Lamar if available. But grabbing RB2 before the cliff, I think, is wise. Quinchon can score a lot. But here's the thing. If Travion hits, Travion goes fucking nuclear. If Ramondre goes down, we have a beast. Just a true monster type of player. So I'm going to go all in. I'm going to take Travion here and just bank on like the best of the best case scenario with him. If he takes over that backfield, he is absolutely worth pick 55. So the year 2 development, I'll grab Travion here because I kind of need running back. But Huhames, I actually just took Jaden Blue in a Dalmatian. Oh, that's the Jaden we're talking about. Yeah. Wow. In a Dalmatian. Holy shit, Huhames. You're the one that talked me off. I was starting to mix in Jaden Blue at times, and then I did it in a lobby with you once, and you were laughing me into oblivion. You were like, why? You just straight up like, you took Jaden Blue. Why? I was like, okay, maybe I don't take him again for a while. And then here we are. My, how the turntables have shifted. But I missed my pick 42 rip from the pipe. I'm way behind. My bad. Jadarian Price is falling. Not really interested. We could go Drake May again, but receivers kind of drying up quickly. That's interesting. I think I'm going to take Tyler Warren because Tyler Warren's volume is just fucking secure. And Colston Loveland goes 35 in this format. That's a massive gap between two players I kind of view pretty similarly. I actually think the gap between Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland should be much closer than 3 full rounds. So Who Hames goes Jaden Daniels. I take Tyler Warren, and I push running back. I push quarterback. We'll see what circles back, but I am not afraid to grab Tyler Warren there, who I think is just worth that pick. And I like a little bit more in full PPR. But Who Hames wanted Chase Brown over Ken Walker. I would agree. In full PPR, I would rather have Chase Brown as well. But Who Hames has CMC at 8 in drafters, 10 on Underdog. That's pretty fair. Looking through my drafters team, I have more Luther Burden than I expected. That's shocking. I wouldn't have thought your exposure to go up on Luther Burden. But Neighbors is an acrobat. I hope he can bounce back. I sure hope so. But Lamar going 3 picks before Hurts. Not in this one. Oh, hurts me? Yeah. It would have been nice. It's not the end of the world. I think Travion helps my roster quite a bit. And Lamar's a little injury prone. There are some risk factors with Lamar, but he's also an excellent pick. I understand why he goes at 52. It's not that big of a shocker. But yeah, for the content. Don't love Jaden Blue pick still, but my team was pretty rock solid and a big swing made sense. And if I take him there, it's easier for me to take a bunch of shares on lower entry teams. It's a worthwhile bet. I understand the fade though. It did feel rather gross anytime I ever took it. But Who Hames sniped Batwheat, who had Terry. It is what it is. Jaden Unstacked is never a snipe though. Jaden Unstacked is a pretty good click. Yeah. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? Jaden is a very valuable asset for sure. Jalen Hurts falling a little bit. ADP 73. Batwheat goes Tucker Kraft ahead of him. Wide receiver Quentin Johnson almost made it back, but he did not. I'll take the fall on Jalen Hurts. Feels like it would be kind of reckless to just keep letting him fall. I wouldn't be shocked if Who Hames got him just because he thought it was a good value. Even with Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts at pick 80 is hard to pass. So I will just take the gift. I definitely have Hurts ranked above Dak Prescott. I go back and forth between Hurts and Justin Herbert, to be honest with you. But historically, Jalen Hurts has been very productive. And he's been consistently a top 7 quarterback every single year. Last 3 years, it has fallen off a little bit each time, though. But I believe the offensive coordinator upgrade will lead to more production. I'm a little bit worried the team pivots a little bit more towards defense. Losing A.J. Brown, they probably don't throw it as much. But Hurts, I think, is still probably a decent click here, unstacked, at 79. But Who Hames says, nah, I'm taking Shuck at 113, shutting down QB. You do have Olave, so I don't think you're bluffing. Taking Daniels and Hurts around 6 and 7, it's a little bit pricey. But the fall, I would understand just taking him and saying, like, you know what? I have 2 running quarterbacks. I don't really need this stack. You can back stack Jalen Hurts also. But where do I think Debo lands? I'm starting to come around to where, like, if he's not a Ram, I think he might just say fuck it and go to Miami. Like, I'm starting to think he might go to Miami. I could also see him maybe go to the Chiefs. I could see that possibly, but Honestly, at this point, I'm really not sure. If Keenan does not sign with the Colts, though, I think they would pivot to Devo fairly quickly. I think so. But I almost never take Mekhi Lemon. This is a much more appropriate price on Mekhi Lemon. It still feels a little expensive, though. Running back is getting gross as fuck. But it stacks. I'm going to justify it. I never take him, but I never see him on available at pick 90. So in drafters, who knows? I might start to become a Mekhi Lemon truther, but the Jalen Hurts at 79, Mekhi Lemon at 90, damn, that feels way, way better than what you have to spend on Underdog. Holy shit. Mekhi Lemon should be going here, regardless of where Jalen Hurts is going. So that is far, far superior than to take them both at like 71, 74. That's pretty sweet. That's not bad. Because to also have Tyler Warren as opposed to Sam Laporta or Kyle Pitts, that's a big deal. That's a big drop-off in terms of volume. I could see Tyler Warren with 150 targets this year. Not going to shock me at all if he does even better than that. So this team feels pretty interesting. The neighbors click, though, is going to be a big deciding factor. Whoa. I'm still not used to the interface. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. But do you think Devontae Smith has the size and frame to support a wide receiver one role? He won the Heisman. So I think he's proven he's capable. I have 4 receivers. Not sure if I'm going to force that. I really like Rachaad White in this format. I really do. I really do. My running back room is thin. I think Rachaad White at 103 is a very fine decision in full PPR. That is what's going to save Rachaad White, and the only reason why I still don't click him like crazy on Underdog. But I've gotten fine taking him at this price on Underdog in half PPR. To grab him here in full PPR feels like a steal. I think he is way, way safer than Jonathan Brooks. As much upside as Brooks has, I would rather just trust Rachaad White. And what I would expect to be like 60 targets minimum. I think that's one thing that's just not going to evade Rachaad White. You're telling me he plays 15 games and averages 4 targets per game? That's on the low side of my projection. I think 60 is a low estimate. I could see 80 plus, especially if the game script calls upon it. But 5 targets a game wouldn't shock me at all on Rachaad White. But DraftKings Lemon comes back to 96 sometimes. I could see that, honestly, in this format, Who Hames. I could see it. Because there are a lot of risk factors, but if the Rams were also interested and Howie Roseman traded up to snipe what the Steelers as well, I believe in Howie Roseman. I do not need Fannin at all here. Quarterback is gross as fuck. Holy shit. Running back, I'll queue up Jones. But actually, I'll just take Jacoby Myers at 114. I think I'll just do that. Aaron Jones, though, would be pretty interesting as well. Trusting Genty, however, I think is just the main motivation. Genty, Travion, Rachaad White, and then we're going to try and find some diamonds in the rough with some extra volume. But having a more loaded receiving core, locking up more volume, especially with the neighbors' questionable bet, that's really what's going to decide the team. But if I do miss time loading up on volume with Jacoby, I think is a pretty safe floor play. And then if you also told me that one receiver goes down in Jacksonville this year, while Travis Hunter probably vaults up the board, I think just Jacoby Myers gets locked in to like 10 points per game. And some of those weeks there's going to be a touchdown. Some of those weeks that's not going to happen. There will be very reliable points. And because it's season long, every single week I need to reliably keep providing a high floor on my teams. By high floor, I mean like 120 is like not going to cut it. Like I can't afford many weeks below 120. So Myers at 114 feels like he's a faller there. Feels like a solid discount. And in full PPR, I think he's actually a little bit more interesting than in half PPR. That's the kind of problem that Jacoby Myers faces, is like touchdown production. But volume, they pay him too much for him to just disappear. So I think the volume is probably locked in. And he's just like so reliable. Maybe he gets traded away because he's just unnecessary, but he's always been a sneaky good pick year over year. He's just a true professional at the position. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does get boxed out of targets. It is crowded there in Jacksonville, but at 114 in full PPR format feels like a worthwhile bet on a team with neighbors. I'm not going to take receiver here. Mason is the top running back. They fall off dramatically. Full PPR, it's not exciting. Damn, quarterback goes early in this one, honestly. I think I might just go Jake Ferguson. I thought Goddard would be here, so that's a bummer. But in terms of just like sheer volume, I don't take Ferguson too much. And the reason why is because I think he's a better PPR bet. On Underdog, it's just not as appealing. So by locking up Jake Ferguson and a lot of targets, like he's a 100 target type of guy, I feel pretty secure in just stopping with these two tight ends. And I know I'm going to need 3 quarterbacks. We'll get some soon. Receivers, pretty loaded though. Drake London, Zay Flowers, Malik Neighbors, Mekhi Lemon, and Jacoby Myers. Inevitably, this Neighbors bet is going to just make this roster fucking pop. But running back will need some TLC, so stopping at 2 tight ends I think is solid. Having it done now, while the values at running back are probably as gross as Underdog. I don't see that many elite names, especially when you factor in Mason doesn't catch passes, Keaton Mitchell doesn't catch passes, Chris Rodriguez doesn't catch passes. Woody Marks actually looks much more valuable in this format. I never take Woody Marks on Underdog, so not my typical build, but sneaky values here, and I don't hate it. I like getting out of the comfort zone. We're pivoting. We're trying to do different things, and the PPR mindset, a big factor in some of these decisions. But Shadow Days Gaming, which Dolphins receiver is most likely to break out? At the moment, I would bet on Caleb Douglas. At the moment, it's Caleb Douglas. We'll see if they sign Debo, like I said, but Caleb Douglas, I think, is the name worth looking out for until Chris Bell gets healthy, and that just probably pushes him down to next year in terms of valuable names. But Diggs is still here. Could load up with Diggs. Cam Ward, though, and this format has been fucking pricey at quarterback. I'm not going to go Cam Ward. I'm going to go Daniel Jones because I have Tyler Warren, and I'll get the stack. I did not get the Dallas Goedert stack. That's what I was hopeful for. But I do have Mekhi Lemon, so I think it's not the end of the world, especially if Goddard is not worth it. It's probably because Lemon is worth it. And yeah, I don't view Jalen Hurts as a guy you really want to double stack in the first place. So if anything, that probably helped me out. That was probably good for yours truly. But the Daniel Jones, Tyler Warren stack, definitely the most exciting, most appealing of the 3. And so far, it's just a question of how will I piece together running back. Passing on Chris Rodriguez was possibly a big mistake. But like I mentioned, it's full PPR. C-Rod does not catch passes. So 40 yards and a touchdown is a little bit more relevant in half PPR. In full PPR, 12 points, you can maybe hit that much more cheap and inexpensive with one of these random handcuffs later on. So C-Rod, obviously the touchdown production is possibly what saves you altogether. I probably should have taken him given my running back build. It was a good price, but I got spooked at quarterback. Quarterback has been expensive in this lobby. Not the same fallers, other than Jackson Dart and Bo Nix, than typical. Like Baker went 111, Tyler Shuck 113, Malik Willis at 118, I think scared me. I think that's what was like, whoa, shit. But if I recall, I passed on Josh Downs in that drafter. It was game tight on this side of the board. He went Cam Ward. So game tight was interested in a third QB. Don't think Daniel Jones would have made it back. So getting the stack. Last year, Daniel Jones was a top 10 quarterback till he got hurt. The Colts offense is a valuable one with Daniel Jones. But what's the deal at running back here? Dylan Sampson, top ADP. I'll be honest, I'm interested in Sampson much more in this format. So justifiably more valuable. Receiver's not the most exciting. Tight end is fine. Quarterback, though, we just took... What's his face? So I'll go Sampson. Very strong pass catcher, especially if he steps in as the running back one. His main skill set is catching the football. He's the type of guy that can have 8 targets in a given game. So high spike week variance in a format that rewards that type of usage and production. And he is talented. He was like a 4th round pick and on similar lines as Trevor Etienne in terms of draft capital, but also the same round as Cam Scatabo, the same round as Bishal Tootin. Last year, round 4, had some talented running backs in it. So Dylan Sampson, 151. Don't usually take him, but I think his contingent upside is much more valuable in this format. Tank Bigsby, not the same type of pass catcher, so despite elite upside as well, I would have been happy to take him at 162. He goes 155. It is what it is. This is not going to be a Tank Bigsby team. But Huhames almost took Jacoby earlier there. If the stacked Shuck wasn't available, he is such a good price here. In Underdog, he's even less expensive, but I will say I can be talked into Charbonnet. Right at ADP, though, not the best. Trey Harris could be legit. Tight end, though, with Hunter Henry falling. I'll take Hunter Henry just because I think he's the best value here. By a mile. Greg Dulcich, the next best tight end. That's a steep drop-off in terms of what you know you're getting. And fuck it. I will be indulgent. It is 20 rounds after all. I can afford an extra luxury pick. Had I taken someone like Travis Hunter instead of Dylan Sampson, I'm not sure, but Sampson at running back is just kind of like eating your vegetables type of pick, in my opinion. Like nothing flashy, but just really fits the format, really ideal skill set. And you know what? Just trusting Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones, not the worst plan, but I have 2 extra clicks, so the third tight end with Hunter Henry feels really, really solid. I'm not sure what his ADP is, but for him to fall to 162, either drafters is just extremely negligent or this was a steal. Hunter Henry, I think, is extremely reliable. only risk is his age and injury concern, but in general, tight ends kind of get hurt less down the stretch a lot of the time. A lot of tight ends age very gracefully. And he played with one of the best, Antonio Gates, who I assure you taught him how to keep good care of his body, last a long time. Being in the locker room with a Hall of Fame player at the same position is just an advantage that doesn't get replicated too often enough. When you're entering the league, sometimes the voices around you do make a very significant impact. But former Charger also got an extra benefit there. But Debo here at 175, never upset with that. I think it's too early to take one of these running backs. I'll just take Debo. Sorry, Who Hames, if you wanted him, but I think at 175, it's probably the right pick. We're mentioning, I think he probably signs in Miami at this point, but like I said, if Keenan does not go to Indianapolis, then Debo, I thought, probably made the most sense in Indianapolis, given what I think they kind of need. And maybe Keenan does choose to retire or goes elsewhere. There was smoke about that reunion. It did not turn into fire. Maybe it resurfaces in the near future, but maybe Debo also claims that spot. I do think with the Alec Pierce injury, they're looking to bring someone in. And if I wind up with a Daniel Jones, Debo Samuel stack, that will be pretty awesome. So, is that my 6th or 7th receiver? It is my 6th. We have 5 clicks left. I'm definitely getting 7, but I might go 8. I'm still not sure if I'm going to stop at 2 quarterbacks, to be completely honest with you. At this point, most teams have 2 quarterbacks. There's not a ton that have 3. There's only 4 teams so far that have 3 quarterbacks. And Brissett's still available. Geno's still available. Then we enter the Atlanta, Cleveland, and Cousins debate. Running back, though, Katron did come off the board, 182. Receiver is thinning out. Not the most exciting down the stretch. But if I take Dontavian Wicks here, I can just stop. His ADP is 190, so no guarantee, circles back. Tight end, I'm definitely done. Running back is all kind of a wash. All pretty similar. But Ray Davis falling. He's been moving up in ADP, at least on Underdog. That's definitely the case. So I will scoop him up here. I need some depth pieces in general. And the Bills backfield, definitely one I want to invest in. He's the guy you want the most if James Cook goes down. So I'll take Ray Davis. Not shy to scoop him up. And the position of need was probably running back. And it gets really gross the rest of the way. Like, even Ray Davis is kind of gross, but like, there's a legit league-winning argument on the board for Ray Davis. I was taking him much higher than this last year, and past Tank Bigsby and Sean Tucker, there's not that many names I like remaining. Jaden Blue was just off the board at 185, but Ray Davis in an arguably better position, if not equally as valuable. But he's shown to leave Ty Johnson in the dust when James Cook misses time. Razor's Edge, do I know if Drafters is offering free $15 tickets if you enter a certain amount of drafts of any kind? I am not totally sure, but I believe if you enter 10 of these, or 10 of the Superflex, you get a free ticket. I believe so. There's details about that in the main lobby, but I'm pretty new. It's only like my second day on this website, so I will look a little bit more into it. I will try to understand more, and I will try to be in contact with this website and possibly see if they can give me a tutorial or something like that. We'll see. But at the moment, I don't know. I believe, though, there is a deal where for every 10 Superflex you draft, I think you get one. I'm not so sure about this one. But Huhames has more details than I do. I don't have a Charger on this team yet. Justice Hill is pretty interesting. I think I like him more, though. I'm going to go Justice Hill. I think a bit more reliable on what to expect, because Justice Hill can produce if Derrick Henry doesn't go down, especially in full PPR, can still contribute to my roster every now and then. Some 20-point spike weeks are not impossible to expect. However, Kimani Vidal is kind of strictly, in my opinion, a Hampton injury. Otherwise, it's just not really worth it. So I took Justice Hill at 199. I think in my gut, in my true rankings, in full PPR, I value Kimani Vidal a little bit more, but I still prefer Justice Hill. Yeah, there's some people in here that don't give a fuck about the build you're setting up. They'll snipe your naked Jaden Daniels. But Shamrock saying Brissett is undervalued, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I guess in this contest, he's definitely more valuable than the other one. On Underdog, because he's not probably on the field in the fantasy playoffs, he feels worthless. But here, I guess you do have a point. You may have a point. You don't love the Marshawn Lloyd pick, but the Dogman says to do it. Maybe this is the Jaden Blue recommendation, but yeah, I suppose it was. But which quarterbacks do I have? I'll take Geno. Similar to Jacoby Brissett, I do believe he gets benched, but until it happens, he will have some spike weeks. That defense is just dog shit. Players never get better when they go to New York. They always get worse. They get better when they leave. Just look at Geno. He only got better until once he left. But if you're telling me early season spike weeks also count, he's going to have like a 10-week runway at the very least. It's probably until the bye. If I had to guess, it's all 12 games. Past ADP pick 210. I never take Geno, but the Jacoby Brissett comment made me think about it. It does become a little bit more interesting. And in general, Geno, isn't he typically going ahead of Brissett in a lot of formats? Now, Huhames did not take him. He took Jaden Daniels and Tyler Shuck. But I mixed in Geno Smith. We'll see, because maybe Daniel Jones misses some time. I do kind of worry about Jalen Hurts going down, though. Jalen Hurts has missed the end of the season a few times, like week 17, week 16. If you actually look at Jalen Hurts' game log, there's instances where he is not on the field multiple years in a row. But grabbing the third quarterback in a 20-round format definitely feels safer. But it's not great. But at 210, he fell like 25 picks. His ADP was like 187, if I wasn't mistaken. It was like around where Brissett was going. It was like at worst 195. But I could see Tua be more valuable. I could also see that. But given we're on a different website, I'm giving myself the excuse to take picks I normally wouldn't and just kind of like let the intuition kind of decide some stuff. And the value is definitely there. It's not like you can tell me I don't need a third quarterback. So the value is justified. But could Tua be more valuable? Definitely. So this is probably the more appropriate price tag. It's still gross. It's not like I had a New York Jet to justify it either. But yeah, your round 5 pick is still on the board. Shador could also be a better value. That's also possible. But I took Shador in the last draft on the Superflex format, so I'm less excited to do it again. If anything, I probably need another running back. Receiver, though, could be critical, but I mentioned it. I'll take a bet that Keenan Allen plays, and if he does go to the Colts, and that just means Debo goes to a better landing spot. So I have one free agent stack with Daniel Jones. I believe one of these two players will sign an Indy. I think it's trending towards Keenan, but it might not happen. He may not sign anywhere, possibly. That's also on the table. If that happens, then Debo just means more likely lands in Indy. But if I get Debo in Miami and Keenan in Indianapolis, I would be ecstatic. I'd be very happy about that. But a reminder on this team, we have Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith. Solid, nothing super flashy, but solid, good prices on 2 of them. Ashton Genty as the anchor. Travion Henderson, better breakout. Rashad White's going to hold it down until he does. Dylan Sampson hopefully gets some run as the pass-catching running back and the starter. But in this contest, full PPR, I like him a little bit extra. Ray Davis, hopefully James Cook misses time. Justice Hill should have some standalone value, even if Derrick Henry stays active. But Drake London, our elite wide receiver 1. Zay Flowers, ton of volume expected. Neighbors, hopefully, is healthier than most people think. And then Mekhi Lemon stacks. Jacoby Myers, a good price. Debo Samuel, an excellent price. And then Keenan Allen for that Colts stack bet. And then Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry. The tight end room feels very, very eclectic, very solid. Pretty deep. But running back does speak my name. And honestly, kind of want to go Ty Johnson. I could see Amari DiMercado be valuable, though. But the thing about Ray Davis, if I'm wrong, it's because Ty Johnson mixes in. And Ty Johnson has some big blow-up games. I'll go Ty Johnson. I'll go both of the Bills handcuffs. My running back room could use it. And if you told me like I just was choosing incorrect on who had the most spike weeks in Buffalo's, backup running back core, I could see both of them hit my lineup like 3 or 4 times. I could see Ty Johnson have like 2 or 3 house calls in weeks where Ray Davis is completely irrelevant. And then in a scenario where James Cook goes down, if I'm wrong on Ray Davis, I'm going to be pissed. So grabbing both, I think, can make some sense. I needed some insurance. Taking RB7 was kind of a gamble. But this team is a pretty big gamble on Malik Neighbors. Ultimately, I think that's really the big bet on this roster. But if it hits, holy shit, am I in business? But tight end is pretty loaded. Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, and Hunter Henry. I only got a 5-pick fall on Hunter Henry, but I think that's like a full round pick type of discount. A full round discount in terms of my true rankings. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did reach on Ferguson a little bit, but think he's more valuable in full PPR. And maybe this team needed another wide receiver. It's possible, but I'm going to bet that I get away with it. And possibly I drafted one too many running back. Maybe Dylan Sampson should have been a wide receiver. Because I could see Samson just really not help me very much, even with his PPR skill set. I could see that not be the best contributor. And if Lemon isn't very good in the beginning, neither is Neighbors, then, you know, we're really counting on one of these three to work out. But I do like Debo a little bit more in the early season. Same with Keenan Allen. The veterans are at risk of going down for the year, and Debo and Keenan, not much is guaranteed. But Huhaim says Samson was definitely the reach, not Ty Johnson. Samson was an odd pick, I will say. Like, had I taken Tank Bigsby, it would have felt a little bit more appropriate. But I honestly just felt kind of behind at running back at that point. And the contingent upside on Samson, if Quinshawn does miss time, I think in PPR is very, very valuable. He was lighting it up week 1 in the passing game, and I don't think that would change. I think 6 targets per game wouldn't be crazy on Samson, but that range of the draft, there's not that many running backs that you like in the first place, but I think the ADP on how it went here is pretty valid. C-Rod probably went too late. Maybe I should have taken C-Rod, but like I told you, I was getting scared as fuck on the quarterback prices. Quarterbacks was going much sooner than I anticipated, and I did not want to let the Josh Downs or even Alec Pierce drafter have a chance. So that Daniel Jones decision, I think, was very important, and I don't think I misplayed that. Daniel Jones made a lot of sense. Samson was possibly incorrect, but had I not taken Samson, my ranks have Hunter Henry as the most valuable pick there. So maybe Travis Hunter saves this team instead of Samson. Because with Ray Day, Ty Johnson, and Justice Hill, maybe I just don't need Samson. If there's one pick, probably could have been much different. It was Hampson, and versus these 4 wideouts, Travis Hunter speaks the most to me. That's probably what I might have done differently if I could go back and change it. But W for Omega, my T is hitting me more Baker. I'd be down to hit the pipe. We finished the draft, so sure, I'm down. Let's go for it. Sorry, there's no sarcasm font. I wish there was a sarcasm font, because sometimes it would really, really help, especially when you're texting someone. But wide receiver probably thin. Yeah, like I said, the Neighbors bet is probably the crux of this roster. Neighbors working out decides our fate. But here's the thing. In a marathon draft, I don't really want to, like, be shooting for, you know, like, what's the percentages on the payout? I think you have to finish top 10% to just get your money back, if I'm not mistaken. There are the weekly prizes, but the minimum payout is top 16,800. That's a little bit more. That's basically 15%. That's 15%. You need a B+ to get your money back. I'm not really trying to shoot for my money back, and then it takes a while for you to really start to make some money. Like, really, the difference between 16,000 and top 300 is $125. Like, that's not worth it at all to me. So I'm trying to really shoot for, like, the best of the best outcome. And Malik Neighbors coming back by, like, week 3 just fucking makes my team insanely productive if he's valuable. But you still don't get, like, $1,000 until you're in the top 50, top 45. So, like, there's a little bit less variance and just kind of like proving it all season. So that's where Malik Neighbors not starting for a while could be a major dilemma. Like I could get to week 7 and Neighbors is just not on the field. And that just might end this team. So high risk, high reward in round 4. Possibly I should have just taken Cam Scadaboo there. Maybe that was ultimately the right pick. But I would agree, Huhames. The Jacoby pick definitely makes this team much more competitive. But yeah, this is what I think the true bet of the team is. And if you're going to have a Neighbors team, that's really what it should be, ultimately speaking. But I'll review the other teams in this lobby as well as our first draft. But this is my 3rd draft overall. And I don't think you can name these. I don't think you can. So here we go. Let's go back to the draft and let's review our members, because we got Huhames in the chat, we got Batwheat in the chat, we got Game Tight in the chat, and then because this is the first team reviews I've ever done on drafters, I'm also going to take a look at Roni Baloney, who's drafting with us. If you are in this lobby, I'd be curious to understand how you built out your team. I am trying to get more acclimated to this setting, and the full PPR format is definitely unique and interesting. So shout it out. Those are the 4 teams, though, I'm planning to review. We got Game Tight, Batwheat, Huhames, and Roni Baloney. But thank you, Huhames, for the context. So let's start with Game Tight. He has a 3.872. So he fell behind at running back, or at least felt a little bit desperate, perhaps. Let's take a look. Quarterback, though, has Burrow, Malik Willis, and Cam Ward. Malik Willis doesn't need to be stacked, but doesn't have Achane. And then Cam Ward is paired up with no one. He has Greg Dulcich, though. He also has Jamar Chase. And the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow stack is ultimately all you need at the end of the day. But DeAndre Swift is the RB1, past ADP, always nice. Jadarian Price at 75 overall. That feels probably more appropriate. That's where I took him day 1 of Best Ball Mania, and I haven't taken him very much since then, in all honesty. I'm kind of underweight Jadarian, if I am not mistaken, in terms of money spent. But at 75, it's a little bit more interesting. RJ Harvey and Dobbins on this team at 99 at 123, so big discounts on both. 11 picks on Harvey, and then 12 on Dobbins. I'm not sure if that's common in this format, but I'm going to be honest. I'm a little shocked that you felt the need to take 8 of them despite this running back core, because having both Harvey and Dobbins feels pretty good. But Jordan James at 190, so waited a very long time. And then your final 4 picks are all running backs, so not much invested. I guess it checks out. But Mike Washington, Nick Singleton, and Jalen Wright, it tracks. It isn't the worst strategy I've ever seen. You have McBride on this team and Greg Dulcich, so stopping at 2 tight ends, I suppose that helps you a bit more. And then receiver has Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Luther Burden, Josh Downs, Trey Tucker, Trey Harris. Love the double Trey. Always a good combo. They feel very valuable at ADP. And a fall on Harris by 9 picks. That's pretty sweet. Dontavian Wicks at 195. Perhaps a little bit thin at receiver, but starting off with Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, that's top 10 points at the position. If they both stay healthy, that just can't be replicated. And there's not that many other players that can replicate that. So pretty interesting team here. The 8th running back is probably the luxury pick. I might not have taken Jalen Wright, because really a running back not named Achane to have any value in Miami this year, yikes. I don't see the point in Wright. I prefer Ollie Gordon, but he did fall 16 picks. I think Jalen Wright's kind of irrelevant, though. Not going to lie. I think I might have taken either a 3rd tight end or another wideout. Don't think it would have been terrible to have another receiver here. But It's not like you had a truly elite running back, but the upside on Jalen Wright, this pick feels pretty worthless to me. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. It was well past ADP. So some people are taking him. Batwheat was in here. He has a 3.593. Is Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, and Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty legit. Nothing wrong with that. None of them at a big fall, all right at ADP, basically, if not a couple picks ahead, just to secure them. So nothing impressive there, but nothing to complain about. Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, and Jalen Warren. The top three are pretty solid. Chris Rodriguez at 139. I think I mentioned I maybe should have taken him, but I locked up Daniel Jones instead. Sean Tucker at 174. Still a pretty valuable click. Maybe less so, though, in full PPR. Sean Tucker, just the goal line back, that's still valuable. But in full PPR, not as excited. But with the top four, stopping at 5 is not bad at all. I think that checks out. Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Romeo Dobbs, Casey Concepcion, Jeremy Bernard, Jalen Noel, Elijah Surratt, and Xavier Thomas. So the bets on the rookies, you have 4 rookies on this team. And then Jalen Noel is a year 2 breakout candidate, but in a way, kind of a rookie. It feels like didn't really get much opportunity, but definitely not a rookie. You only have 4. Tucker Kraft, elite tight end, Juwan Johnson, and Terrence Ferguson, some high upside. Love the tight end room. This feels great. In terms of volume and overall target share, elite top 2 with Kraft and Juwan Johnson. And then Ferguson, when he does mix in, is going to possibly hit for 14 points. So an excellent pick in this 20 round format. I like that tight end combo a lot. Receiver has just a ton of names, so there's really nothing to complain about. The volume's elite. And that's the luxury of only having 5 running backs. It doesn't feel thin. Despite only having 5, it does not feel thin. Very good team, Batwheat. Very good team. Maybe the 9th receiver is unnecessary, but it doesn't feel out of place. The 6th running back hopefully doesn't cost you, but I think it all checks out. I don't think it's bad to stop at 5 there. So yeah, awesome team. Batwheat looks pretty legit, in my opinion. But Roni says, I like your team more than mine. Jai Shambo, are you drafting on Underdog or DK after this? You know what? Y'all have been sticking around for a minute. I might be willing to do that for the folks that stuck around. But yeah, definitely a better way to look at the team. And let's take a look at Huhaim's team. He has only 2 quarterbacks, the 2-5-10-3. So loaded in terms of wide receiver depth. And stopping at 5 running backs, that's also interesting. He has Jaden Daniels and Tyler Shuck, trusting that Jaden stays healthy. And Tyler Shuck is the man. You mentioned you love the price. I mean, I drafted a team yesterday in Best Ball Mania that was completely reliant on Tyler Shuck. He was my QB1, and I took him over Stafford in the 10th round, double stacked with Tyson and Achane. Wish me luck, but good to see you felt confident with those 2. CMC, Ken Walker, and Travis. Then Jaden Blue and Marshawn Lloyd, so a steep fall off, but I suppose it's worth it. Let's take a look at receiver, because you have 10, and this feels pretty loaded. We got Chris Olave, J-Mo, Jaden Reed, Wanda Robinson, Khalil Shakir, Omar Cooper, Antonio Williams, Darnell Mooney, Devon Vele, and Torrey Horton. Pretty legit. It does kind of fall off quickly, though. I'm starting to worry about Omar Cooper, but at 161, I don't blame you. He's definitely talented. I just fear the landing spot and such. But you did not feel the weight to stack him. You just wanted to get more receiver depth, so you're not really reliant on anyone. And if just 3 of these guys hit, you're in business. For the length of the contest, maybe your 10 receiver approach definitely makes my 7 receiver approach feel like it might be too thin. But Laporta, Chig, and Brenton Strange, pretty awesome tight end core. And while running back feels a little bit thin, I suppose in this setting, you don't have to start them with as much confidence. You also got a great fall on both Walker and Travis. And then even McCaffrey at pick 8, given his receiving production, like you said, you do have him ranked there in this format. So awesome running back room. I sure hope CMC stays healthy for you. That feels like the major bet of this roster. That is the one thing that could ruin this team if CMC goes down, because Blue and Lloyd might do nothing, and then Walker and Travis should be excellent, but if one of them just kind of underperforms or also gets hurt, then yeah, this team could be in the dust. But I like it. Leaning into the draft capital, top 3 out of 4 picks were running back, but one of them should be a third rounder in Travis. At 41, I would have auto-clicked Travis as well there. Kind of wish you left him for me, but the double New Orleans in rounds 3 and 4, can't fault you. Really an excellent duo. And then the Tyler Shuck bet makes even more sense with Vele, the nice backstack. But let's take a look at Roni Baloney. We mentioned one more review. Herbert, Baker, and Shador. You got Herbert, so you're automatically doing very well. Baker at 111. That was one of the picks that kind of make me feel worried about the Daniel Jones chances of making it back. So that might have saved me. I might have been too casual about quarterback values had I not seen this pick at 111. But Shador at 226. So in a 20-round draft, you're still scooping it up. Running back, Devon Achane and Quinshon Judkins. Kenneth Gainwell and Jonathan Brooks. Woody Marks and Braylon Allen, pretty legit there. No complaints, pretty balanced, and some high upside with the depth at 3 and 4 on the squad. It feels very complete at RB. I just hope that Miami and Cleveland's offense don't crater you. But receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Egbuka, Lad McConkey at 39. Carnell Tate, Travis Hunter at 159. Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, and Rashad Bateman. Andrews, Gadsden, and Cade Otton. Tight end has some upside, but feels a little mid. You need 10 touchdowns out of Andrews, and then you need Njoku not to be a major factor, and Gadsden to win the job. Because Otton, he's fine, but rather mid overall. Receiver could be thin. There are a lot of bets on some possibly irrelevant names. Like Hunter may not step on the field, but at 159, it feels very valuable. So that could really save this team. But Jeudy, I think, could be pretty worthless if he stays in Cleveland especially. And then Kirk, I took him in the last one, so I don't mind the bet on Kirk, but could be a minute till he's on the field. And then Rashad Bateman, a lot of target competition coming in. Who knows what he offers? So really just a major bet on Lamb, Egbuka, Ladd, and Carnell Tate. And that could just be enough where you really don't care about the other ones. But if Hunter does hit, you're in business. And then Kirk will offer something. But I worry about Jeudy and Rashad Bateman. And you took Jeudy 6 picks above ADP. I don't really get the argument for Jerry Jeudy. I'm not gonna lie. His stats last year were trash. I don't trust him at all. So that's kind of the only pick I don't love. And you have it stacked with Shador. Good luck with that. If it hits, I would not see it coming. So good luck with that. But that's really the only thing I don't like. The Jerry Jeudy, Shador Sanders bet. Otherwise, it's fine, except maybe tight end is a little mid, like I mentioned. But Gadsden does stack, at the very least. So does Ladd. That's always nice. And then Egbuka also stacks as well. Otton with Baker. Batweed, that was a fun draft. Good team, guys. Yeah, some interesting things to learn. I am getting used to this, so it was a fun addition. And I don't know if I'm going to have a night like this where we exclusively draft on drafters, but I don't mind it, honestly. and it's pretty chill. But I'd say Hunter is my biggest question mark, hoping for 2 25-point weeks from him at that price. Honestly, if that's all he does, which I could see it happen, he had 20 points against the Rams in London. You know what? It could be worth it, man. It could be this year's like Trey Tucker. If that's what you get out of Travis Hunter at pick 159, it's totally worth it. Last year, we were taking him more than 100 picks higher than that. So he's a receiver, not expecting a shit ton of volume for him, but high spike week potential. I was more willing to see what his actual price was in the lobby, let somebody else take him. But if there's one pick I kind of wish I made, it might have been Travis Hunter. I'll be honest. That was the one pick that might haunt me. But if Keenan Allen delivers, we're in business. If Neighbors delivers, I'm in business. And this team is not too shabby. But, yo, appreciate you, Who Hames, later. And if anyone hasn't done so yet, subscribe over on Who Hames' channel. An awesome friend of Nice and Blunt and the channel. All right, one final look at my team before I move on. Hurts, Daniel Jones, and Geno Smith. Whatever. The price on Geno at 210. It was 25 picks. I was right. His ADP was 185. I was right. And then I took Daniel Jones only 2 picks ahead of ADP. We got Hurts 6 spots past ADP. Not bad at all. But then the bet on Genti is really what this team needs. Travion also kind of needs to hit, but could be one of the best picks in this format. Rashad White, Dylan Sampson, Ray Davis, Justice Hill, and Ty Johnson. It does feel like the 7th running back is pretty critical. So I don't hate the Sampson pick. We only took him 5 spots above ADP. Travis Hunter had a later ADP, so it checked out. It's fine. It is fine. But receiver still needs Neighbors to work out. London, Flowers, Neighbors, Mackay, Jacoby, Debo, and Keenan. This also needs to be played correctly. If Keenan goes to Indy and Debo to Miami, then this team is fucking lit. But if Keenan retires, the team's also dead. Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry. Tight end, though, feels awesome. This is lit. At tight end, pretty fucking dope, if you ask me. So, yeah, the team has its faults. The team has its strengths. And sometimes you need to be risky, because playing it safe just might not get you there. Risking something usually pays off. But, yeah, later, Who Hames. And we still have 32 people watching. Can we fill a pit bull? Can we fill a pit bull? Anyone who's still watching and was sticking with me through our drafters experiment, if you guys want to join me, this is the only draft I'm interested in tonight, but I don't want to spend any more than this. $20. I have 3 of these left, and the contest has filled at 85%. I think it's about time I hop in. So I'm going to join a pitbull. These things might take a while to fill, so we'll see what happens. But damn, 11 spots. I hope y'all didn't just fill a previous lobby. I also could easily envision nobody having a pitbull left. I could also see that, but I'll give it a minute. I think I'm also going to maybe post about it. But yeah, the eliminator is the pivot option for sure. If this doesn't fill in time, we'll see. But at the moment, we got 4 people to enter. Who knows? It's kind of late. But there's also the element of people just don't have bullets in the chamber in this contest. So we'll see. We're trying to fill a pit bull. at the very least, what I can do is drop it on X. +7 for a pit bull. I'll leave that up for 5 minutes. We'll wait 5 minutes. I'm not going to wait much longer than that, but if it doesn't fill in the next 5 minutes, we'll head over to an eliminator, and that thing probably won't take too long. You know what? How about this? I'm not going to wait the 5 minutes. How about this? If the eliminator can fill before the pit bull fills, then we'll stick with that. I'm hopping into eliminator right now. Oh, that's right. I have officially ran out of site credit. I have officially ran out. That is a factor in my drafter's decision. The Pitbull is... You mentioned it, Quaid. The Pitbull is actually filling. We're now +3. In that case, he'd probably stick around. +4 is still not bad, but I will end up just making a deposit. But it looks like this Pitbull's gonna move on. There's 2 spots left. It looks like it, so maybe it was just destined to happen. We'll just wait for this to fill. Only 2 spots remaining. And I'll go back to the typical setup because we're back on Underdog. And it fits much better in the top corner. There we go. We still have 2 spots left, and it looks like one of my slow drafts is actually open. And I am on the clock in a slow draft. So I'll take a peek at that. We are in a poodle, and the Chad Candles is in this lobby. We entered 3 different slow poodles at the same time. I'm sure he entered a few more. I entered my last 3, and Chad Candles happens to be in this lobby. Shout out Chad Candles. Fellow Best Ball Jeopardy contestant. Played yesterday. I will be playing next week. But what round is this? This is the end of the 6th round. I have Bijan Robinson, Cam Scatabo, Nico Collins, T. Higgins, and Jalen Waddle. I remember I pulled up T. Higgins. I think I'm going to leave Joe Burrow because I don't think this team is going to take him. There's still 2 spots remaining in the Pitbull. The team at the 101 doesn't have their second running back yet, so I will take my preference here. My team has Bijan and Cam Scatabo, but I think taking Pollard is pretty valuable. But I'd be kind of pissed if I do not get Joe Burrow. It probably works in my favor, but I kind of want Quentin Johnston also on this team. Not totally sure which is the correct decision, but I think the safer play is probably to just go Pollard. I think he's the best value. That's not going to be available coming back. I expect sacks to be Cutler at 72, 73 to go Jalen Hurts on one of these running backs. I'm going to go Pollard. I'll take Pollard, but still 2 spots remaining. I do not want to exit this lobby. At this point, I'm pretty committed to waiting for it. Similar to our first draft of the night when we were waiting for the Superflex to fill on drafters. Persistence paid off. And while we're still waiting on 2, I think it's worth it. All right, but Mac Nova says, I'll join a DraftKings. At the moment, I don't have any DKs available. I mentioned that we weren't going to wait longer than 5 minutes. So had I had the deposit already in, we'd be in the eliminator right now. But I'm actually going to probably have to do that. That sucks, man. That's a bummer. It's annoying that other than the Scott Fish Bowl, there is no contest cheaper than $10 right now on Underdog. I will say it's a little frustrating. Because it's not that I can't mix a few of these higher price tags, but just keeping it real, I don't have the budget to rip them all of the time over and over and over again. So it is what it is. But we started off this lobby at plus 11. We've whittled it down to plus 2. Some of my patience is wearing thin. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I want to wait another 10 fucking minutes. $1 on DK. That also doesn't really excite me very much either. The $1 formats. But if you hopped in to try to draft with me, I really appreciate it. Let's see if anybody else is drafting right now live on YouTube. Maybe we can get someone else's attention. But I have no idea if anyone else is live. Because sometimes I'm just the latest person to do it. On occasion. If there is, I don't think I'm subscribed to them. I might just bounce. I may just bounce. Because my phone's being weird. I do not want to have to deposit. Oh, here we go. Now it's working. Somebody left. I think we're just going to enter a eliminator. Oh shit, this one insta-filled. Yo, alright. The decision was made for me. Holy shit. Didn't expect that. I'm gonna leave the Pitbull, everyone. Fuck. It's about to fill. I don't want to leave y'all hanging. Are you all gonna force me to do both at the same time? I think that might happen. You know what? Fuck it. At this point, fuck it. I do not want to rug pull y'all. I would feel terrible to rug pull y'all. So if you guys decide to leave the Pitbull, that is one thing. But I am not going to leave the lobby when there's only waiting on one. Because I know at least like 5 of you are watching, if not more. That's my guess. That's my guess. We ride. We finish this bowl and we ride. That lobby is full. And it worked out. I pulled the 101. You know what? It was destined to happen. And all multi-table. Who cares? We are in an eliminator and a pit bull at the same time. I'm at pick 7. I'll take JT. Week 13 bye. Quaid is in at the 10 slot. Good luck. I mean, I did get some good luck. I pulled the 101. We got Underdog 2022 right next to me at pick 2. Buck Dynasty at 103. The Big Papa at 104. Go Pack Ninja at the 105. Dos Quattro at the 106. Don Cisco at the 107. Thrasher 22. Hold the 108. And then Marino. I am taking Jameer Gibbs. And I am happily moving on to the next round. But Fish Burrito and Marino are in this draft. Dave is in here. And then Jackson Duffy as well. Not sure how many of you guys are watching. I believe 3 of you guys might be watching. But maybe it was just always destined to go this way, regardless of who hopped in or not. It is what it is. You're welcome, Batwheat. Appreciate you sticking around. But I like that I have the 101 while I'm multi-tabling. It allows me to pivot. But at least at the top of the draft, in the eliminator, I want to be a little bit more locked in. We can address what happened in the other one. Yeah, the 101 easiest to multi-table with, for sure. I lucked out. And what if I draft 2 shippers at once? What if I win both contests while drafting them at the same time? Wouldn't that be fucking lit? That's what's going to happen. We were meant to be here for a reason. Also, I'm not totally sure how much I'll be drafting over the weekend. Sweet. Chase Brown. I'm not afraid of the week 6 bye. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I got Jonathan Taylor week 13. So just the value of Chase Brown. If I can make it past week 6, I have one of the best running backs in the game. He can definitely be top 10. So I will grab Chase Brown at pick 18. The running back position in general gets more expensive, and I will move on with my day with what I think is a good, valuable pick, and hopefully the bye week doesn't burn me. But back to the Pit Bull. The first round is done. Did anything weird happen? Higher price tag. We saw CMC go at pick 5. Amon-Ra go above JSN. That's interesting. Taylor, then Genty, Lamb, James Cook, and then at the turn we see Jackson Duffy go Jefferson and Saquon Barkley. Not bad. Hampton goes to Dave. Excellent picks other than the double week 7. That is the one area that could burn you. If you have too many bagels week 7, possibly could be an issue. But in general, it's not a big enough deal to care about. But to take JSN at pick 7, you can get a little bit different with the combo. But in general, some of these higher price tag buy-ins, $20 isn't nothing. You know, $20 is reasonable to care more about compared to $3, $5, $10. I understand why these teams at 5 and 6 did not want to go JSN, despite him being at the top of ADP. All right, so I am 2 picks away in the eliminator here. I will go Devontae Smith with a week 10 bye over Rashee Rice. I will favor that. I already took an early bye with Chase Brown. I'm not going to take a week 5 bye with Rashee. It's relevant, but it's not the end of the world. Devontae Smith there, I believe, has a very safe early season projection. Mekhi Lemon might take a little bit to develop. So week 1, I know, is versus Washington. The Commanders have a terrible secondary. Maybe I am disregarding Marshawn Lattimore. I'm pretty sure that's who they got from the Saints. But I'm pretty sure he's washed. Last I checked, he's washed. So back on the clock. My strategy from the 101 in general is to grab Rashee Rice and George Pickens here. I will take them with more confidence. If it's not the eliminator, the week 5 bye is not relevant at all. And I do think Rashee Rice is more valuable than Devontae Smith in that setting. But the Chiefs quarterback situation makes early season production a little bit shaky. He also gets the Broncos week 1. And I could see Pat Surtain fucking nuke Rashee's production. So in the eliminator, I'm much more happy to take Devontae Smith. In the Pit Bowl, I will happily go Rashee for season-long production. But would have loved T. Higgins there. Not going to lie, I was really optimistic about getting him. That's kind of annoying. But just grabbing Cam Scatterbo here, I think, is pretty valuable. I expect him to be on the field by week 6 when Chase Brown's on bye. So a super valuable asset, a player I think is just awesome. We are in the eliminator here, so loading up on running backs, never a bad idea. Taylor, Chase Brown, Cam Scatterbo. I might have 3 top 10 running backs on this eliminator roster. And Scatterbo, if he plays week 1, gets the Cowboys. Chase Brown gets the Buccaneers. And then Jonathan Taylor, I kind of forget who he plays week 1, but especially with their injuries at receiver, I just fully expect them to give Taylor like 30 touches week 1. Week 1, Taylor goes fucking nuclear, more likely than not. But let me close the poll. That's been up for a while. And now we're back on Underdog, so scared of change. Did win the poll. Shockingly, I was a little surprised. But it's not relevant anymore. We're back to our comfort zone. We're back to what we're familiar with. And the second round went very typical, other than Jeremiah Love at 19. That was the big shocker of round 2. Round 3, pretty typical. But Neighbors there. Maybe a little bit high. Trey McBride went a little bit high in this one. But otherwise, Breece Hall at 34 is the only major notable decision. Tedro McMillan still goes pick 35 in this lobby. Interesting. Tet and Igbuka at the turn for Dave 1562. But in the eliminator, I am about to be back on the clock. Quinshon Judkins falling to pick 55 might be hard to pass. A week 11 bye is pretty interesting. My receiving core might be dog shit, but with the early buy on Chase Brown and then the question marks on Scatterbo, having Quinshon 9 picks past ADP, I'm willing to possibly just stop here. I could see a hyper fragile build at running back with these 4 get the job done. They have different buys. They're all going to lock in a shit ton of volume. It's not the end of the world. Back to our pit bull, though. Damn, if Garrett Wilson made it back, holy shit. That'd be interesting. Not expecting it in any way, shape, or form. He goes to the Big Papa. at 45. But Luther Burden at 46, Evans at 44. I would have taken Burden at 48. I'd have been willing to do it, but I'm not going to lie. My strategy with this build so far is not to take receiver here. That's not the direction I'm going. I want Scatterboo pretty bad. Please let me have him. Holy shit. Let's go. Scatterboo with Gibbs. Fuck yeah. All day. Not even thinking about that. Plus we get the bring back with Pickens. Oh boy. That's pretty lit. I'm really tempted to trust my strategy and grab a running back here because it's a pocket that's hard to replicate, but not in love with Montgomery. Late season schedule. Travion's kind of a gamble. I already took him earlier today. And I've been wanting to draft more Jalen Waddle. I will take Jalen Waddle on this one. Falling 3 picks, officially round 5. I'm convinced now he's just correct in round 4. I think he's worth it, and I will scoop him up. I will take him there. But some very interesting teams being built out so far. DJ Moore would have been a blessing, but we don't get him. I will settle for Brian Thomas. We don't have a receiver 2 yet. Not a position I want to ignore for too far, but BTJ, wide receiver 2, come on down. There is a tier break, in my opinion, following BTJ. But damn, this running back room looks lit as fuck. I'm not the only one with 4 running backs. There's also Chris, who has the most experienced badge in this lobby. Also has 4 RBs. He took Drake May. So only CeeDee Lamb, a more elite wide receiver anchor, but still not fretting over passing on receiver. All right, this Pitbull team is really interesting, though. Damn, this team is fun. In the Pitbull, we pulled the 101. We got Gibbs and Cam Scatterbo. Holy shit. That's fucking awesome. And then receiver at the 2-3 turn with Pickens and Rashee Rice. And then I couldn't help myself. I took Jalen Waddle in the 5th round. Receiver is tremendous. It also opens up a Jackson Dart Bo Nix double tap if I'm interested. At 96.97, that's pretty accomplishable. That's usually available. I might be tempted, though, to grab Quentin Johnston and Justin Herbert, though. The ADP has changed. This contest has been open for a minute, so there's going to be some Herbert QJ teams in the 7th and 8th round in the opposite order because QJ is moving up quickly. But we'll see. Okay, I don't want to pass on Tyson, honestly. I love Tyson's week 1 matchup. I'll go Tyson at 79. Even in the Eliminator, I think he's one of the rookies that can really produce early. I don't see his role being a question mark. I love his week 1 matchup as well against the Lions. I can see him contribute. So I do give a little extra value to the Saints and Lions in this format. And I know Tyson falls for a reason. He's a rookie and people get a little scared off. But a week 8 bye isn't terrible. And I don't really fear his timeline to contribute. So Tyson at pick 79, I don't think is bad. Hopefully, it's not too bad. It could be a luxury pick, though, but I like him. I like his upside a lot, especially if Olave is dealing with the blood clot situation. Maybe Tyson is just wide receiver 1 instantly. Maybe he just hits the ground running out of the frying pan into the fire if Olave can't contribute. But I'm going to close this so I can keep up with how many picks away I am. Advice if you're multi-tabling. You need to exit the draft view when you leave the tab, so that way at the top, the pick counter does update every single time. If you leave it in the full draft, there's like a tab you open where you see the picks as they happen. That's not what you're looking at right now. You have to leave it like this to see that. I think I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence at 90. I'm in the eliminator. I'll take T-Law. And now I'm back on the clock here. Quentin Johnston's one of the picks for sure. Only question is, do I just take Caleb Williams here unstacked? I don't really want to do it, in all honesty. I actually have Herbert ranked higher, so it's tempting to just take Herbert. Running back's not great. My preferred option is to reach on Rico Dowdle. I'd definitely rather just reach on Herbert. A Herbert Gibbs team is pretty dope. Who am I kidding? We got the bring back. We got Rashee Rice, Quentin Johnston. I'll just take Herbert. It's fine. It is fine. It is ultimately correct. Herbert in the 7th round, I think, is correct. And then QJ is now just at the 6-7 turn. Pick 72, 73. At the bookend, you got to get a little weird. We get the stack. It's just the price you have to pay now on QJ. And watch, give it like 2 more weeks. He's going to be at the top of round 6. People are going to be like kind of upset that they can't backstack Herbert with QJ anymore. And then they're just going to say, fuck it. I'll take QJ at, pick 64. Where DJ Moore went in this lobby. The 604 and then get Herbert at the 709. That's what's going to start happening sooner or later. In the Eliminator, that did not happen. I'm not sure why in the Eliminator QJ's ADP is much lower, but that will soon happen in the regular formats. Because ultimately, the Chargers tax knows no bounds. Even Chiefs fans are waking up to the Chargers value. Davis Maddock hyping up the Chargers earlier today. A bit afraid of getting buried by Herbert winning MVP. It's definitely possible. So if that's the case, QJ will pay off on the field in 2 receiver sets, undoubtedly. About to be back on the clock in the Eliminator. I have a quarterback already. Thankfully, I have at least one quarterback. Addison goes. Not my favorite acquisition. Kind of just need points at receiver. Shit. I'll go Ricky Pearsall. I think I'd rather have Ricky Pearsall than Xavier Worthy in this contest. Because if I get stuck with a Justin Fields quarterback situation in week 1, I am screwed with Xavier Worthy. So I'll go Ricky Pearsall. Equal value, in my opinion, equal risk. But week 1, as long as Pearsall's healthy, I think he's a little bit safer, given what we just don't know about Mahomes' health. But Jaws is saying, cheers, no likey Caleb. He's fine, but I think he's much better when you have a stack. I do think there's a world where you're not getting true return on investment by drafting Caleb. There's still the world where he doesn't score, he doesn't throw for 4,000 yards. And, if Rome has a big foot injury, the receiving core is a little bit thin. There's a world where Caleb doesn't pay off. His rushing value is pretty interesting, though, so I wouldn't have hated it, but unstacked is just not as exciting to me. And I did not want to take Dak Prescott. I took QJ, and, ultimately, my boy is Herbert. I could further invest in the stack there, but grabbing Laporta and Bo Nix here feels pretty legit. Pushing running back a little bit further. I'm willing to just trust Gibbs and Scatabo. But with Waddle, I always wanted Bo Nix on this team. We got sniped on Jackson Dart, so I'm really happy I took Herbert in the first place. Underdog 2022 was not going to let me have him. And I'm just trusting that Scatabo is really going to pay off and is correct. But I'm back on the clock here. We're in the eliminator. I got a lot of good running backs. I will take Jared Goff. I do have Jordan Tyson, so the stack was relevant, but you don't have to stack in the eliminator. If anything, it makes your floor lower in the week when they are on bye. You are losing 2 players, if not 1. And week 8 is a bye week that might be an issue for me. I have Tyson on bye, Pearsall on bye. That's 2 of my top 4 receivers on bye week 8. Also Cam Scatterbo. If you're telling me one of my quarterbacks is also on bye, that's not ideal. So I rank Goff higher. I will just take Goff and trust my rankings. Goff at 114 feels pretty valuable. Also, I mentioned the Lions-Saints game week 1. I think that's a major shootout. I love that game, especially for Jared Goff and the Lions at home. They should win. They should definitely score more points. And running back might be hyper fragile today. Taylor, Chase Brown, Scatabo, and Quinchon. Quarterback has T-Law and Goff. Wide receiver, though, Devontae Smith, BTJ, Tyson, and Pearsall. We're already down to Romeo Doubs as wide receiver 1, so that's a little shaky. And then I don't have a tight end yet either. So the running back investment is awesome. I'm definitely paying the price. I'm going to have to, I think, just trust it. I don't think I'm taking a 5th running back on this one. I don't think I am. In the eliminator, I don't think it's worth my time. Not at all. Like, unless Tank Bigsby is just such a fucking steal, I can't help myself. But I think structurally, I'm going to do myself a big favor by stopping at 4 when I take one rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5. It's a lot. But after this pick, I will take a rip from the pipe. It's been a minute, and I think I mentioned it. I just haven't done it. So I think I'm taking Romeo Doubs here. I pick 127. I need some receiver points. The tight end values are pretty interesting, but I'm just going to accept the top of ADP and the minor gift I think I'm getting. I need receiver points badly, and I trust Drake May to deliver. The receivers tied to Drake May last year were fucking awesome, and they did pay Romeo Doubs a pretty decent amount. His stats will kind of be the same, though, regardless of what his role was. He was going to give you about 750 and then like 6 touchdowns, regardless of AJ Brown being there or not. I think he's worth pick 127. He has high upside when he scores touchdowns, but I have ignored running back. Aaron Jones is still here. Sweet. I will scoop up Aaron Jones happily. I'm not going to take Tyler Shuck on this team. If anything, I'm going to build out the bring back. I'm going to go Aaron Jones and Travis Kelce, and this is going to allow me to stop at 2 tight ends. If I get a great value, I will, but especially on my Herbert teams, I really want the bring back. I genuinely believe in the historical data that points to Kelce torching the LA Chargers. Kelce in week 17, I think, is one of the skeleton keys because of the matchup. I legitimately believe he could dominate. I probably should take a tight end here. I'm not going to lie. I think it would make a lot of sense to take a tight end here. But I still feel kind of gross at receiver. And I know for a fact it gets fucking gnarly moving forward. I will just take Stephon Diggs. Call me a scaredy cat of the receivers remaining. But with taking Diggs there, I think I can stop with just one more. if I have to. And at 138, it is definitely too cheap. It is a very good pick, in my opinion. So, I'm building it out. I might go 4 tight ends, honestly. But that will allow me to maybe not draft as many receivers. Like, if I don't have to go 9 wideouts, that's definitely a value. Both of these teams are looking pretty interesting so far. In the Pitbull, maybe my running back room is a little bit thin. I have 2 week 6 buys. That's kind of unfortunate. But Aaron Jones should probably deliver early in the season if Scadabo's down. So that at least covers any issues there. But I forgot that Detroit and Minnesota have the same bye week. It's kind of annoying when you forget about that, and it's actually important. I have made some blunders in the past, but these 2 picks might line up. This one is 3 picks away in the Eliminator, and then the other pick is also 3 picks away. They might overlap, but if there's one I care more about, it's definitely the Pitbull, so I kind of want to plan this out with more intention. But that is... the other pick is 1 away. It's probably going to come first. So I don't have a tight end yet. Okonkwo comes off the board. Hunter Henry has a late bye week, and I rank him above the rest. So I will go Hunter Henry. Trust my rankings. I think a phenomenal tight end 1 when you're punting the position. But back on the clock, running back would make some sense. But Woody Marks, fucking gross. Damn it. I'm going to go Jalen McMillan with one of the picks. And then thankfully I'm at the turn. I can use the entire clock. Forcing the Gadsden stack, I think, is unnecessary. I can't believe it, but I'm taking Pacheco here at 145. Another week 6 buy, but I'm going to lock up both of the Detroit backfield, and historically that has been something you've wanted to do. That might have been a terrible choice, honestly. I did not really know where to go. But the handcuff is not the end of the world. There are some backfields that have made it worth it, and Detroit's been one of them, so I'll do that reluctantly. I did not feel confident in who I wanted at running back to make it back, and I didn't feel like reaching on Tank Bigsby was totally necessary there. I'd rather risk that Bigsby circles back. So we just lock up another Lion, but my team is actually very reliant on Jahmyr Gibbs over there. And so if he does go down, Pacheco would be league winner status. It's an insurance policy. I'm planning to take 6 in the first place. So not my favorite click, but all in all, not terrible, but not too happy about it. Schultz, though, is an eliminator-ass pick. That's for sure. I'll take Schultz because I need tight end points. That fits the roster. All right, back to this Pitbull. I wish they didn't overlap. I had some more time to plan that out. That was a tough spot in the draft, though, to need running back. Not ideal. That was the dilemma of taking Jalen Waddle, but the tight end room is fantastic. Maybe Laporta wasn't the best click. Maybe I should have taken like a Ricky Pearsall or a Michael Wilson or a Michael Pittman instead of Laporta. But Kelsey was also an interesting decision. One of the tight ends may have cost me. But it's also possible that Waddle wasn't the best pick. But I think just trusting Gibbs and Scatabo is really not that bad of a choice. It's worth the risk. It sure is worth the risk. Back to the Eliminator team. That's also fucking with me a little bit. But no excuses. We chose this path. Super tempted to grab Bigsby, but I think I'm going to go Trey Harris. I mentioned the volume at receiver. Always kind of shaky on this team, and wanting to bet on the 4 RBs is viable. So Bigsby, not that valuable in the Eliminator. Definitely not. I will go Trey Harris with some confidence. But back on the clock here, Bigsby does make it back. Fuck yeah. That's awesome. That's great. And then I should probably take one of the receivers around here. I have Gibbs and Laporta. I'm invested in the Lions. So grabbing Tesla, I think, would be interesting. But Sean Tucker, I think, might save the team. Sean Tucker's pretty important in terms of early season points that I think will just be on the field. Like, I feel pretty safe projecting that Sean Tucker is the week 1 goal line running back. And although the hype about a 1A, 1B situation, Tucker, I think, has very sneaky value. He's not going to make it back. I pulled him up by 10 picks, but I have to wait 20 to be back on the clock. No guarantee I get Katron on the way back, but in week 6, I feel safer projecting right now that Tucker gives me some points and touches rather than Katron. There's a chance that Katron doesn't really contribute by week 6, so I'll grab Tesla. On this team, I actually do have Goff, and I don't have any other week 6 buys, so it's not an issue to worry about. And if I stopped with these 8, I'd feel pretty content overall. Devontae Smith, BTJ, Jordan Tyson, Ricky Pearsall, Romeo Dobbs, Stephon Diggs, Trey Harris, and Isaac Tesla in the Eliminator. That's fine with me. We have 2 clicks left. I need one more tight end. I have Hunter Henry and Dalton Schultz. I would like another quarterback, but I don't know if it's entirely critical. I think I'm stopping with these 4 RBs. I think I'm just going to accept my fate. Because nobody I can draft remaining is locking up any early season points. Other than DJ Giddens, I don't see the point in handcuffing Chase Brown. Giddens could possibly help me out here. But I do have 4 guys I really trust, and that's kind of enough. So I think I'd rather have a quarterback. I got some early buys, week 7, week 6. So Tua would have been nice. Not going to lie, I would have drafted Tua there at 199. He goes 193. Very fair decision. I got some time in the pit bowl, but I'm thinking Kirk Cousins here, honestly. I wouldn't hate it because tight end has gotten pretty gross. Early season, I expect Cousins to be the starter, and I legitimately, looking at the schedule, can see him on the field in both week 6 and 7. There are some tough teams up until that point. So I'll go Cousins here. Lock up QB3. That's the luxury of only having 4 running backs. That extra roster spot is open. And I think in this contest, it's a worthwhile build. They all have different buys, and they're all locked into a lot of touches. One of them will be on the bench anyways every week. So, yeah, I'm not taking RB5 on this team. Our last round pick, though, will be a tight end. Okay, but back to the Pitbull. We're in round 16 and 17. I need some receiver depth. That Pacheco click was weird. I think one of these is going to be Pat Bryant because I have Bo Nix. And then I'll be honest with you, the receiving core feels pretty fucking lit. I'm also going to mix in Kaytron Allen. I'm going to go 2-7-7-2. I'm going to stop with Laporta and Kelsey. I'm going to argue that by taking Kelsey there, it really justifies that all I need are these two tight ends. And Laporta could just crush. I have Herbert and Bo Nix at quarterback. I have the MVP and one of the sneakiest values. I took him 10 spots above ADP because with Jalen Waddle, it's going to hit. In the final week, all I really need is Gibbs and Scatterbo in the lineup. I don't know if I need any of these depth pieces, but having them is valuable. And fuck it. If Pacheco actually is the piece you need, it is what it is. Pacheco ultimately is my luxury pick. But I think without him, the room really needs 6 RBs, and he's mostly an insurance policy. If there's standalone value, it's even better. But receiver with Pickens, Rashi, Waddle, and Quentin Johnston. I might be really pushing it, but I'm going to take one more. And we have McMillan and Pat Bryant. That could be enough. It could be enough, but this seventh running back on a Gibbs team maybe haunts me. Oh, did I? Whoops. I forgot about my eliminator team. I got stuck with Darnell Mooney instead of my third tight end. Whoops. I got caught up. Only one pick. It's not the end of the world, but would have been nice to have 3 tight ends in the eliminator. But one of them is Schultz. I think I'll be okay with just Schultz and Henry, in all honesty. All right, back to this team. Let's at least focus on the team I prioritized. There's a chance that Tyreek Hill plays. I don't think it fits this roster. Kayshon Boutte should probably get some production. Not quite sure what to make of him. Christian Kirk's interesting. Tyquan's also very interesting. I have Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce already. But Pearsall's on the other team. I would not be handcuffing him on this one. Not today, but maybe Malachi Fields, maybe Devon Vele, but Keenan Allen obviously has spoken to me as of late. I have been drafting him a bit more. I don't think I have him in this contest yet. I'm actually going to find out. In the Pit Bowl, these are the $20 contests. I can search it up. I have not taken Keenan. You know what? I might just go Keenan. But receiver handcuff is not that valuable. Running back handcuff is a little bit more more coveted, because when a running back goes down, it's pretty obvious who their handcuff is, and they get closer to a lion's share of touches that week than a receiver would. There's not that many clicks that are great here, but I'm convincing myself Keenan's going to play, and I don't have him in the contest yet. I will take him. I'm not expecting him to be stacked with Justin Herbert at all, but I suppose there is a chance for that. I'm not betting on that at all, really. I'm expecting him to go elsewhere, and that Quentin Johnston just crushes. So we'll see. Jaws had thought Woody played pretty admirably with how bad that O-line was. Surprised they didn't throw more to him, considering that. He started off hot, but I think once there was film on him, I think people really realized how to stop him. And even with the lion's share of touches, he didn't have enough spike weeks for me to be interested. He had one great game, but it happened so early and then was never replicated. I thought it was mostly a product of matchup. And while that could happen again, it's just not really a player I want to trust. If Montgomery goes down, I don't think Woody Marks is that valuable as the starter. The offense is just not good enough, in my opinion. It's not the team I want to bet on in the backfield. So if there's a handcuff I think is overpriced, it's Woody Marks. He's more interesting in full PPR, but just was not good enough, in my opinion, to be worth my pick there at 145. Pacheco, though, is I'm not too happy about the Pacheco pick. That's a pick I'm not very proud of, not going to lie. I should have gone receiver and just waited. This Pacheco addition feels rather worthless on this team. I definitely regret that one. But Tucker's a beast when he gets the run. There's going to be at least a couple spike weeks from Sean Tucker. Absolutely. I would expect that to hit for sure. Let's review this team. I had the 101, and I go with a 2-7-7-2. Quarterback room has Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. The advance rate once you exit the pod is only 1 of 6, 1 of 5, and then only 156 people in the final. I like the playoff schedule so much for Justin Herbert. I don't think you need a third quarterback when number 2 is Bo Nix. Plus, Herbert on a Gibbs team is a little bit different. We also got the unique combo with Scatabo. So that better work out. I'm a little scared, though, that I'm missing out on some production from Scatabo throughout the year, whether it's early season not being ready week 1 or later. But based on the value and where I'm willing to draft him, that gave me the confidence to push RB3 for a while. But I didn't feel awesome about only having Aaron Jones with also week 6 bye. Another week 6 bye with Pacheco. Probably my biggest mistake of the draft, but sometimes you can't be perfect. And it is ultimately the insurance policy that, maybe 1 or 2 weeks Gibbs is just not on the field. Maybe we do need Pacheco in those moments. He will get a lot of touches in the Lions backfield if that happens. But if he has any semblance of a David Montgomery type of role, then this is a smash pick. There is that scenario where Pacheco is actually more involved than we think. But I'm not expecting the Drew Petzing offense to use him very much. Hopefully some goal line work comes his way. But Bigsby, my favorite all-or-nothing handcuff. Happy to get him to circle back. That was valuable asset there. Sean Tucker, though, probably more reliable touches. Until Saquon goes down, Bigsby could be worthless. So both of these guys could be zeros. Tucker, I don't think is, but how many times does he hit the lineup? More than 3. That's hard to trust. Katron Allen, though, could just win the job on the goal line in Washington. I believe it's going to be the Katron Rashad White backfield in the Commanders system. I think Katron's a great bet at 193. So couldn't help myself. The Pacheco pick was terrible, though, with 7 RBs in total. Probably a very unnecessary pick. Should have been receiver. Pickens, Rashi, Jalen Waddle, and Quentin Johnston, though, could be enough. Stopping at 7 isn't atrocious. McMillan could be the breakout candidate in Tampa, so he might be an insanely valuable pick. Pat Bryant, I think this more interesting receiver 3 candidate. The Bo Nix stack there And then Keenan Allen hopefully plays and fills out the receiver room. But the Pickens, Rashee Rice anchor feels pretty solid. Waddle could also crush. And then QJ, I think, could finish in the top 20. That's also possible. So maybe these 4 just stay healthy and it all works out well. I think it's not the end of the world. But Laporta and Kelsey stopping there, totally legit. And, yeah, the only pick I don't like is Pacheco. But receiver there kind of sucks. Who did I pass on at receiver? I didn't want Jalen Naylor. I didn't want Juwan Jennings. Didn't want to pull up Denzel Boston. I could have gone Trey Tucker. Didn't want to reach on Debo or Trey Harris. And then Flournoy didn't make it back. So, yeah, Trey Tucker over Isaiah Pacheco. Should have trusted the ranks probably. But whatevs. Round 13 misclick. Not going to kill me. Not when my running back room is kind of weak. Up to that point. All right. It is what it is. But if anyone was drafting in here with me, they'd get a team review given the weight. And Jackson Duffy was in here. He has T-Law, Kyler Murray at the 12 slot. He's got Saquon and Javonte, Jonathan Brooks, Tyron Tracy, and George Holani. Reasonable, stopping at 5. Not like a madman. But Jefferson, Lad McConkey, DJ Moore at 60 feels awesome. Tyson at 61 hopefully hits. Should, but not a true guarantee. Hunter, Debo, Calvin Ridley, and Malik Washington. So some mid-depth pieces, but possibly the league winner with Travis Hunter. Definitely viable to have 8 of them, but Tyson could be a little expensive here at 61. But I took him earlier with confidence. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not terrible. But did you pass on, like... You passed on BTJ. I'm taking BTJ over Tyson myself. But that's a preference. Some people don't like BTJ. Tucker Kraft, Juwan Johnson, and Stowers. Don't love the Stowers pick myself. But you took the 3rd tight end. Running back could use number 6. Not going to lie. These 3, if Brooks doesn't hit, you could get nothing out of these 3. And then you're 1 injury away on some injury-prone options from going down. Running back feels rather fragile. I will acknowledge. Maybe 7 could have helped. Just kidding. But I could definitely see 6 with no Stowers. Just a random, like, Jordan James, I think could help this team. But it's not the end of the world, especially if Holani actually delivers. So good luck on the Holani Boys Island. I don't recognize anybody else, really. I think there's a different Dave that usually drafts with us. So, all right, this Pitbull was fun. I will label it. Hopefully Pacheco doesn't burn me. I doubt it. But then the other one, the Eliminator, let's go over that one. That one insta-filled. So I don't expect many of y'all in there either. But what happened here? We got T-Law, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins. I do think Cousins is a very viable Eliminator pick. I don't think he's a bad option at all. Week 1, I trust him to be the starter, but stopped at 4 RBs with Taylor, Chase Brown, Scatterbo, and Quinshon Judkins. Don't need to wait on somebody to step up, just trusting these 4 stay healthy all year long. Devontae Smith, BTJ, Jordan Tyson, Ricky Pearsall, Romeo Dobbs, Stephon Diggs, Trey Harris, Isaac Tesla, and Darnell Mooney. The Mooney pick was a little unnecessary. That's for should have been a tight end. That one I autoed because I stepped away. But then Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, that's fine. Could definitely use a 3rd. Not too bad. So wish Mooney was the correct position. But yeah, I don't think I needed 9 wideouts. Could have used tight end 3 for sure. But at least on this team, when I took Tyson, it was pick 79. That's much different than 61. That's 18 picks. Much cheaper, much more affordable. But Quaid was Fish Burrito. Are you in the Eliminator? No, you're in the the Pitbull. I'll take a peek, but Dak Prescott, Jordan Love feels kind of scary. Prescott, if he doesn't deliver like last year, historically gets hurt and just doesn't string along 2 successful seasons in a row. So a little bit shaky, but maybe I'm just paranoid. Love, though, has been rather inconsistent. Not the best backup to just stop with, but I don't hate it. It's not a terrible combo. It could definitely work out. Achane, Breece Hall. Breece at 34 feels way, way better than 28 or above that. So love the fall in value. He could fall further, though. Honestly, he could fall further. But in best ball, it feels way better to have Breece than in redraft. So 34, worth it. RJ Harvey, Keaton Mitchell, and Zach Charbonnet. So a very fragile running back room. Holy shit. Very, very risky. Hopefully Keaton pays off and then you can last without Charbonnet. But this is a running back room that I could see need 7, possibly. A 6th would have helped you. To only have 2 quarterbacks and 5 running backs, one of them Charbonnet, I'm a little surprised. But then CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Rome Odunze, BTJ, Juwan Jennings, Branch, AD Mitchell, and Surratt. So the 8 receivers. And then Fannin, Ferguson, and Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram doesn't feel like he helps the team very much. Maybe I'm wrong on Evan Ingram. Maybe not drafting him at all is the wrong choice. I've taken him at 1%. I'm not drafting Evan Ingram very often. That could have been an RB6, if you ask me. Fannin and Ferguson, I think you can get away with. Ingram is just so mid. Last year was just really not valuable at all. I worry about him considerably. So, yeah, with only 2 quarterbacks and then 5 RBs and Charbonnet, I might like a 6. But if you get away with just Achane and Breece, good for you. But, yeah, you should have taken a 6th. I should have stopped at 6. Maybe we can trade Pacheco for Juwan Jennings or something. Maybe we can do that. Sadly, we cannot. But, yeah, your team's well built. The receiver room is fucking awesome. Lamb, T. Higgins in the 4th, and then Rome and BTJ. That's awesome. That's where I'm not totally sure if you needed 8, but never a problem to have 8 when you have two QBs. I think Ingram was just a weird pick. That's all. Okay, I think that's going to be it. We were live for almost 3 hours tonight. Oh, yeah, 3 hours and 13 minutes. Shit. Let's take our final rip from the pipe. Let's do that. All right. I'll see you guys later, probably tomorrow. And this one was fun. Not sure if we're going to draft on drafters all the time. Definitely not all the time, but worth mixing in. And we'll see what the Frenchie has to offer tomorrow on Underdog. But we ended up doing both a Pitbull and Eliminator tonight. Fun times over here. But later, peace out. I'll see you guys.